Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As with you always, this is Max doing a live video today on BSV. So, with that said, we also have some XLM for all the great people in this world. Let's start off with a few of the comments of who's here. I want to thank all you guys for being here and thank you for being patient. Would have liked to have a show yesterday, got too busy for me, and promised to help out a friend who was in need. So, with that said, we are going to get into two of the hot topics, but we're going to welcome a few guys first. And let's start off with the first comment of the day. And it's going to come from the one and only Brittany. She says, "Hi, Max. Well, good to see you, Miss Brittany." Almost was going to say it's from Tim Shea, who sprays from far away, but he's the third in line. But anyway, yes, Miss Brittany, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Ahmed says, "Hello, everyone. Welcome back, brother Ahmed." Tim Shea, there he is. He says, "Hey, sprays from far away. Mara Crypto Commissioner, represent the 589 district of the XRP Army, but we're going to talk about Stellar tonight. So that's going to be good stuff. Lots to be reported in regards to Stellar, a lot to be shared in regards to BSV. Terra node's a real thing. Real thing. We're going to get into some of that. All right. Let's also welcome the one and only Elon Muff, aka Mike Cornwell. Good to see you, Mr. Elon. Welcome back. Mr. Dinchi added 65 XLM to his bag. Is that buying the dip? Hey man, it's better than nothing. Sometimes you gotta soak up. Jeez, Mike, you're ruining me. You gotta soak up the dips. The dips, DIP. You gotta. Never mind. Mike has ruined me. Okay, just completely ruined me. All right, Dinu. Hello. Yes, Lionel Richie is what you're looking for. All right, Stump Rider. Hi, Max and Crypto Team. Good to have you, Mr. Stump Rider. What are you gonna say here? It's almost time for BSV to rise. Yes, absolutely. And everybody will be anyway. Jim Miller, hello everyone. I love your avatar, man. I always remember your avatar. Sweet looking dog. I had a dog like that. His name was Pete. Reminds me of old Pete. So thanks for coming back, Jim Miller. Digital G, aka GG, is in the house. Good to have you. We'll welcome a few more of you guys, like the one and only Mr. Brian Dowie. Always a pleasure to see you, Brian. I'm sure that you're glad that we're talking about some XLM tonight. But yeah, thanks for being here. Dennis Leal's also here. Thank you for the support, especially on X. Don't think I'd ever dismiss that. I always knows that. Welcome just a couple more of you guys. Who else we got up in here? We got Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk is in the house. Thank you also for being here. Just a reminder, we're kind of somewhat, 15-minute delay, where you want to call it. Usually we start right at, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And then sometimes a little bit of delay, 15 minutes. So that's usually how it goes. But please smash the like, everybody. I really do appreciate it if you can. Currently, we're sitting at 13 likes. We definitely should use some more likes. That helps trigger the algorithm. Recommend this broadcast to more people. All right. We also got JT, the freaking Max. What's up? Well, freaking bulging biceps. What's up? Good to see you. Instead of saying one bite, everybody knows the rules. Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, buff biceps. Everybody knows the rules, right? That's how it goes. Let's read this from Mr. Lambos. You're asking Tim, you think XLM will go to 1K? I think we know the answer to that. Anyway, RIP to Pete. Yeah, Pete passed away a long time ago. I mean, he had to have, but anyway, RIP Pete. All right. What else we got? We got any questions? Nope, we don't. That's okay. Let's welcome also River, who's in the house. I don't know if he's secretly like a Baltimore Ravens fan. I always have wondered the deal with the avatar. It's a cool looking avatar, though. But welcome back, River. Appreciate you. And let's also welcome the one and only Rick Cogswell. He says, "Hi, everyone. Stand strong." Great point. It's just like sometimes it's even hard to even come on here and talk about this stuff. It's like, oh no, it's a crash. But The ones that know how this goes, we're going to give it to all the fear. We're going to give up now. No, not really. If anything, you recognize what's really on sale. There's a few. We did see BSV pulled down to like $69. Not too bad. But good to see you, Rick. There's a dab. Crypto Homes, 777's in the house, and no Ravens fan here. So we still don't know the deal with that avatar, but that's okay. That's all right. Quant and X payments, maybe through the backside for APIs, but as far as actually like, for the payment itself, I don't think so. But that would definitely help out in regards to payment rail, or APIs. All right, who the hell are the Ravens? Well, I guess we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so let's get into what Investor Place shared with us over the weekend. So they had a delayed report. It didn't come out on Saturday like it was supposed to. It came out on Sunday, which I guess you could say is good for you guys because now it's Tuesday. So not that big of a delay. But you want to know something? They called it again. What am I referring to? What I'm referring to is the overall crypto market is what I'm referring to. And we're going to take it to there for just a second. I get it, you guys. You guys watch other shows like, our brother from across the pond, Mr. 2-Bit, and some other guys and so on who always show you this thing on either crypto bubbles or CMC. Some guys do Coin Gecko, wherever the case be. Here it is once again, just in case just tuning in. What is this? Well, draw your attention to the far right side of your screen. In fact, let's blow it up. So what you're going to see is that we are at neutral status. Man, where happened to being on the far right side of that fear and greed index where, basically speaking, we are at extreme greed. Oh, no. BTC drops below 40K. Ethereum's down. Well, JASMY's down. Well, Bitcoin and Ethereum are down. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, the whole time I was thinking it was just JASMY scam, right? Everyday scam. Well, not the case. Not the case. Pump the brakes. Snap back to reality. Solana's down. XRP significantly down. Do we break support on XRP 51 cents? I don't know. Cardano's massively down. Remember when that was in the 65-cent area? Dogecoin down by a couple, pennies and so on. Chainlink. Boy, a lot of you guys missed out on Chainlink around $5, right? It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Polygon, all these things. Shiba Inu, ICP. A lot of you guys are always telling me, Max, you got to talk about ICP. But the point is, lots of great opportunities. Even Cosmos, that's probably a great opportunity, great entry point at below $10. So there's lots of, good opportunities. Uniswap, not financial advice, right? I still say watch out for Uniswap when you have, what is it, guys? The V4, 99% savings on gas fees, and people come back at the height of the bull market. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just saying. All right. We are going to talk about Stellar today. Look at where it's at, 11 cents roughly. Okay. So there's a lot of things that are on sale, a lot of things that are not on sale. Bottom line is this. What happened? Did somebody call this? Well, not really, but I think Investor Place came very close. So let's take it to that. Smash it like. Here we go. Here's the Investor Place report. Talks about this falling knife. Is it a real thing? Yeah, it's a real thing. How so? Well, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to show you how, or share it to you how so. Let's blow this up a little bit more, just in case if you're Boomer effing Sooner watching from his couch. He might not even be here tonight. Shout out to the one and only Mr. Boomer effing Sooner. So the crypto markets may face further short-term declines before reaching a bottom. Reported from Luke Lango, Charlie Shrem. Like I always point out, Charlie Shrem is the first guy ever shown on live video as far as mainstream knows, mining BTC. Long time ago. He's part of that foundational club, yada, yada. But this was a buy the rumor, sell the news event. Maybe I'm guilty of it too. At the end of the day, that's what happened. We're all hoping all this institutional money will come in. And that's why we're going to get further into the outline tonight of the whole thing with BSV, because it's like, if all this money is supposed to be coming in and things fell flat and then things are taking a nosedive, is there anything to show reason for that? Well, relax and take notes, right? Anyway, so look at this for a second. BTC's price dropped more than 10% this last week. I don't care who you are, if you're brand new to crypto, if BTC drops 10%, it's going to affect the overall crypto market, especially also Ethereum. Those two still represent 81% of the overall crypto market. Even 3 years later, we're still talking about that. It's still a real thing, whether you like those two or not. Let's just be real about it. Ethereum itself, I believe, is somewhere between 90 to 95% of all smart contracts for this overall crypto space that we're in. You know, that's what we call it, the McDonald's of smart contracts. Doesn't mean it's the best, just means there's a lot of it. So only approximately 15% of the top 100 coins experienced a price increase this week. Did yours? I had a few that did. I mean, my LCX is doing pretty well, but man, my portfolio is, it's like, oh my gosh, I went from was it 56K and I'm now down to 39K. Like, what happened? Everybody has a different type of portfolio. Some things are wrecking you more on other things, right? Painful week for cryptos. Is it time to get out? It's time to say goodbye. No, of course not, but you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But at this point, they recommend purchasing dips in their top alternative coins after the post ETF approval crash in Bitcoin. Time to buy the dip? Not yet. Could you actually catch the bottom? I don't know. We used to have a guy come here quite a bit. I don't know what happened to him. Great guy. Shout out to him. You guys see him? Let him know I said hi. That's Coochie Boy. Coochie Boy was really good about catching the bottom, right? But is it really bottom? Will tomorrow be the bottom? Will next week? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But look at this for a second in regards to their fundamentals. Technical analysis suggests the crypto markets may face further short-term declines before reaching a bottom and presenting an excellent buying opportunity. Now, even though this is Investor Place report, and I'm pretty much on par with a lot of things they have to share, I will state this: do you not have a portfolio management software of some sort, or even a free one from CMC? Because if anything, have your watch list, have your favorites. You should already know off the top of your head, especially with whether you're a guy that's just focused on 10 particular cryptocurrencies, like the ones related to ISOs, or you're type of guy that you're literally Elon Musk, Mike Cornwell, and you got like 200 or 300. You should have an idea of what is all-time highs, especially from the last cycle, 2021, compared to where we're at right now. So even though we're going to go through this outline and share this, I hope somebody here, or most of you guys, have a plan. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just throwing that out. All right. So these inflows and the amount that they reached and this lackluster inflow into these ETFs, what does it indicate? Well, it indicates that we are not alone in this, and that there's a drive. There could be a drive for cryptocurrency prices to go higher, as the saying goes. Even during the time of FTX and that whole fiasco of seeing BTC at 15.8, 15.7, where it touched briefly. And then we went to, where we were last at, what was it, guys? 46, 47K BTC. And where we're at now, there's opportunity. Are we going to complain about this? Or are we going to be like, wow, we actually decided to, get into the bottom? I don't know. But look at this. Here's some data. Came from January 10th. Kind of cuts it off there. I was trying to see if that was a little mess up that they did, but it's not. This is a good point. You do see from January 10th and so on, the only one that kind of stood out, it didn't take a nosedive in regards to ETF trading, is Coinbase. Coinbase is represented in the navy blue on this particular chart. And you do see that it kind of went up, took a dive for a brief moment, went up again, and it kind of flattened out. But everything else, okay, in the market has not been reflective on that. You have Binance that took a complete nosedive after the ETF trading began and the approvals on that. You have a few other ones, for instance, Bitstamp didn't take quite the nosedive, kind of did what Coinbase did, right? But, again, Binance, they're supposed to be the number one exchange, took an absolute nosedive. So what's up with that? Is it because Coinbase is more US, Binance isn't? I don't know. We'll have to look more into that. But Bitcoin will require another catalyst to reignite its rally. True. The catalyst is likely to come from the Federal Reserve, specifically interest rates. And, of course, we're always paying attention to what Powell is going to do and so on. BTC has developed a strong inverse correlation with the 10-year Treasury yield, reflecting interest rates, inflation, economic growth. This inverse correlation has intensified over the past 2 months. We've always covered this, especially on this channel. Give it to you at least once a week to see what's going on. Investor Place feels as though that they believe the rate cut expectations rather than ETF approval primarily fueled BTC's rally in late 2023. And we'll take it to this part and look at from the screen. Let's blow this up a little bit more. Come out of the frame, and you can see it for yourself. ETF approval hype or rate cut hopes? Where are we legitimately at right now? That's what we should be asking. Because if anything, what are you going to do in regards to actually buying the real dip? And is the real dip the bottom, right? Everybody's asking that. So coming back into the frame, let's talk a little bit more about some of this. And of course, all these charts cited as usual from Bloomberg Finance. As rate cut hopes, have simmered in the past 2 weeks, Treasury yields have spiked. We have seen a little bit about this. Cryptocurrency prices, of course, have declined. The correlation seems particularly strong at present. What happens after the news comes out in regards to another inflation report? To find a fundamental bottom in the recent crypto sell-off, we must monitor Treasury yields. I think that's where it's at. I think this is where it's really going to be at personally, compared to any type of hint of a new report or what Powell and the Fed are going to do. In regards to the other data, right? But it's the Treasury yields. Bitcoin's bottom will likely coincide with the stabilization of Treasury yields. Now, how do we know that? Well, there's a little bit more about this. So, Treasury yields does not appear to be imminent, but they believe the market is currently overestimating the extent of rate cuts in 2024, and expectations for the adjustment of these particular yields suggest that there might be a rise, of course, in the short term. Now, if that's the case, then there's going to be some ones, obviously, in regards to your watch list. They're going to stand out compared to some others. You can see more of a bottom, right, here soon. But again, it's what's on your watch list. Yields could shoot higher in the short term, but the long-term trend for yields remains, of course, lower. And you can see where that, is breaking out. And of course, you have this whole thing highlighted in the top right of your screen. Like, what are we dependent on? Again, Treasury yields. So they do not expect that the 10-year Treasury yield will remain above 4% for an extended period in 2024. And that's kind of good news, right? But the yield typically reflects the sum of the neutral rate of the U.S. economy, denoted by, of course, R, and the inflation rate, with R estimated between 0.5% and 1%, and inflation expected to decrease by 2% by year end. The fair yield range for 10-year Treasury notes in 2024 is 2.5% and, of course, 4%. Now, you may not think that's a big amount, but it does make the world a difference. They also have currently spoke about this, I guess you could say, yield range. They do suggest that they're fundamentally overstretched. They do predict the 10-year Treasury yield will basically end 2024, right, at the end of this year. And I know we're just getting into it, guys, but they feel as though it end below 3%. And that is significant. I mean, being at basically 1 full percent, it does make the world difference. And what's going to happen with that? All right, there's a little bit more in regards to this before we jump into what we have for the night in regards to BSV. But they state that after short-term adjustment in rate cut expectations, Treasury yields should begin to decrease again, which should support cryptocurrency prices. Right. As the saying goes, action, reaction, supply, demand. You guys know how this goes for the most part. However, in regards to everything that was presented, yields are still rising, and as a result, cryptocurrency prices will likely continue to fall. Yikes. Their technical analysis supports this view. Bitcoin is currently on a downward trend, having fallen below its 20-day and 50-day moving averages. I mean, let's face it, guys. Dropping below that 40K mark on BTC was absolutely crucial. Where do we go from this? Some of you guys have people that you follow that have this spot on. But basically, the RSI is declining. Moving average convergence, which is the MACD, is turning sharply lower. I mean, for some people, it's like, this is not good news. It's good news if you're the type of guy in which you want to accumulate more, right? Yeah, Bitcoin remains well above its 100-day moving average. The RSA has not reached oversold territory. That part cannot be dismissed. Now, if it did reach oversold territory, then I think, honestly, whoever it was, like, so I don't know, he hasn't been here for a while, but who was it? Magic Power, shout out to him. There's some of the other guys that stated in the past. This is all literally going to go to 12K. If that, was in the oversold territory, and we did have some other data to show that everything is just gone to hell, then I don't know. I would think maybe that would be ultimate doom and gloom, but we're not there yet. MACD continues to widen bearishly. In other words, short-term technical bottoming signals have not emerged for Bitcoin. But, if you're not the type of person once you believe that, you're going to stick to your own guns. I get it. BTC isn't a local bottom yet. Again, yet. What do we see within the next week, 2 weeks, and so on? Some people feel as though it's going to be nothing. It's just going to be consolidation and so on. Again, treasury yields speak otherwise, okay? And with that said, I do think that we will see more of a bottom, and we're just not there yet. Now, don't get me wrong. Back to the whole thing of your watch list, various different altcoins will show a significant, tail story of where they're at and so on. But, like BSV, for instance, I mean, come on, guys, we saw $69. Like some of you guys bought the heck out of that. There's other ones like Quant. I remember when the whole market was, doing really well, and then, or not doing super well, but for instance, we had a big pullback on Quant. Remember that? $85. I mean, there is times where that happens as well. So it's just, again, back to the whole thing of what do you have in your watch list, and have you been paying attention to all-time lows, and hey, you know what, this is a real good sale, and this makes sense for my DCA, right? All right, look at this for a second. Investor Place does not feel as though that, for instance, like it says, therefore, we are not purchasing cryptocurrencies at this time. A prime buying opportunity is on the horizon, but it has not yet arrived. Again, that's based on their opinion, their portfolio. They have a big one. A lot of the stuff that I have is also in there, not everything. But my thing is, yes, that watch list, right? Because the watch list, there's things that just simply show up on other people's watch lists compared to the next guy. And one that still stands out for me is Stellar. It's been kind of holding its own, even though there's been FUD of, hey, this is not going anywhere. It's still holding its own. It didn't break below 10 cents. A lot of other projects have broken down to where it lost support. All right, something to consider and emphasize, right, before we move on. Consider that 70% of the alternative coins, because we're always talking about altcoins, that surged during the last crypto boom in 2021 are now defunct. 70%. This is where, of course, Brad Garlinghouse has said in the future, we see 99% of them going away. So if we saw 70% already be erased, well, would he be right by 2025? Seems like it could be the case. But that is interesting. Can I show you some data? Yeah, you better believe it. Over 11,000 cryptocurrencies were listed on CoinGecko during that bull run, and approximately 70% of those projects have been discontinued. My God. Are they mostly memes? Let's be honest, probably, right? This is where we get the whole thing of, utility all the way. But here we go. Cryptocurrencies over 50% have died since 2014, and I'm going to come out of the frame because I really want to put some emphasis on this, because let's face it, a lot of us have been wrecked on a lot of different things as part of the journey, right? You cannot be 100% successful in anything unless you failed a little bit. So this is since 2014, number of deactivated cryptocurrencies on CoinGecko from 2014 to 2023, because, we started this new year. And man, look at what it suggests or shows. Significant difference here. 2014, 37 cryptos. then it blasted off all the way up to the height of 2021. 2022, you lost quite a bit. And then look at where we're at, 2023. I mean, what the heck? For me personally, I would say meme coins, meme tokens. All right. So this serves as a cautionary tale for selecting cryptocurrencies in this particular cycle. Very, very true. I mean, be picky. Do your own research, as the saying goes, right? But while there's a significant boom is supposed to happen, which I believe as well, especially if you've been paying attention to these cycles. I mean, why all of a sudden we go through all these previous cycles and all of a sudden this time there's no real cycle? I don't think so. But most cryptocurrencies, like it says, will fail after this cycle, and this further solidifies being invested in real utility. Otherwise, you might get wrecked. If you're still the type of person which you're like, all I need is a good pump and dump meme token, might want to look into RNT or something like that, right? That's not a meme token, but boy, does it pump and boy, does it dump, probably more than anything out there. We must focus on choosing the best cryptocurrencies and have effective exit strategies to preserve gains. True. We are being strategic and patient. I think all of us, for the most part, are doing this. We invest in new cryptos that should occur soon, and we want to ensure settling the best options available, right? There you go. I do want to mention this in regards to Cosmos, because I know a lot of you guys are into Cosmos, like Cool Cat and so on. So there's a quick update in regards to Cosmos. Inter-blockchain communication, which is the IBC protocol, has expanded rapidly. IBC in itself now connects over 85 blockchain zones and has facilitated 4 billion in transactions in the last 30 days. That's super impressive. You got to give credit where credit's due. Its integration into various blockchain networks, including, of course, Ethereum, the Polkadot, Avalanche, demonstrates its growing importance in the multi-chain environment. And I know a lot of you guys, especially with all the doom and gloom, this furthermore solidifies the whole notion of staking. Because why the heck would you sell something like this while everything is going kaput or, down? Can't blame you. There's some other notes, but I know a lot of you guys aren't really into chilies and stuff like that. Thought I would share this with you. All right, what we're going to do now is going to get back into the comments. After we get back in the comments, see if anything is standing out in regards to your questions, comments, and so on. We're going to get into this BSV segment, and this time around, got to point out some things in regards to Terranode. Now, some of you guys like Cool Cat, you already know about this, right? So if anything, I don't know, I guess it's a nice little refresher for you. But for everybody else that might not know about this and so on, you're going to see some videos. You're going to see some exclusive clips. We're going to talk a little bit about the significance of what's going to happen leading up to, a little bit more about this whole thing of Kappa, I don't know, tomato. I've had people tell me the right way to pronounce it. It is what it is. But I did see some real interesting things. Shout out to Mike Cornwell with some of the things that he shared with his research, other members of the BSV community, and so on. So we'll get into that in a bit. And then after that, to round things off for the night, like I mentioned, if you're just tuning in, it'll be Stellar XLM. Some big updates in regards to Stellar. Some nice visuals straight from the Stellar Development Foundation with video, right? Not super long. I'm going to give you guys some of my own research and notes on why that matters, why I feel as though don't sleep on Stellar, even though it's only at 11 cents, because later on, when things start popping off, you'll be looking back at that and you'll say, my God, why did I complain so much about that? So I want to state this, basically. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. We did hit a new milestone here at Maximus Crypto. This channel has only been around, or I should say, technically this channel has been around for a while, but it's been rejuvenated. As you guys know, there was an old channel, not part of that anymore, had to move on. But as far as the activity on this channel from September 4th to present, so we had a 3-week break, of course, because my dad's passing back in December, on December 14th. And then we've been back pretty active for the last couple of weeks and so on. So anyway, the milestone is we did hit, I believe, 4,120 plus subs. Considering the channel before September 4th only had like 500 subs, kind of laying dormant. That's not too bad. That's not too shabby. If I keep this up, even at this pace in a year's time, that'd be like, 12,000 subs. I think it would do a lot more than that personally. Like, there's bull runs, not for just crypto, but also for channels. Can't thank you guys enough for being part of this community and all this support. It really means a lot. A lot of you guys have made friends and gotten along with messaging each other and share info and DMs, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's been a very humbling, and I'll continue to bring you guys, whatever information I can, and obviously you guys as well. That's why I like to also point out that if you want to be a sideline reporter, it's absolutely free. You just give me a follow over at X, and also if you're into XRP and some of these other ones, give our fellow brother Will Fix a follow over at Will Fix 7 over on X. All right, let's kick it into the comments. So we have I saw Coochie Boy here. How about that? Your ears must have been ringing, man. That is so cool to see brother Coochie Boy here. The Bishop of Crypto, right? That's I think the nickname that I think Selmo Flood or somebody gave him. That was cool. All right, Tim Shea. Max, did you see that X post I tagged you on? It shows Binance a listing of BSV. Oh, really? I did not see that. I will have to pull that up. Give me a second to pull that up. You must have just done it. So let me see what we got. And I did not see it. So let me just click on your name, Tim. I'm gonna click on replies. If anybody's wondering how you do this, this is kind of like how you go about it. I still don't see this. That is horrible. What is wrong with me? I do not see this. Well, Tim, if you want to send me a DM with that, just copy and paste what you sent me. I'm so sorry. You gotta keep in mind, a lot of people do tag me, and sometimes it just becomes like a giant grocery list and it's hard to keep up with it all. But I do apologize for that. Thank you for that. When you do get it, we'll pull it up. All right, we got Jason Stillman. Say hello to Tim, but let's also welcome him. Jason, consider getting an avatar that speaks about who you are, what you're about. Always welcome new people, everybody, if you see them. On top of that, let's see here. We have Gerald. He says, hi, all. Big sale today. Yes, very true. Very, very true. Good to see you, Gerald. Appreciate you being here as usual. Didn't you? It's a trap. That mean, yeah, good point. This is also didn't you posting from X. Price of XLM, almost a stable coin. It goes, was it so much sideways? Yeah, that's a good point. 4.12K followers, slowly going up. Good job, Max. Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of like being the tortoise of crypto in a way, When is Max going to become the hare? I don't know. But the hare didn't finish, right? So it needed to be a combination of both. All right, let's read this as well. This is from Coochie Boy. What of Max and fam? I'm so glad to have you here, man. I've been missing the Bishop of Crypto, as the saying goes. It's been a while. But it's always a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Coochie Boy. And yeah, it really is. So I guess maybe somebody messaged you or whatever the case be. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's see here. You're on your cell, kind of out of pocket. That's funny. All right, so what's popping with Will Fix? He's still making videos and stuff like that. We'll have to get him back here. He had an infection in his foot and he was in the hospital for a while. And then he had to get surgery, and he just came back from that, and so on. So he's kind of having a hard time, but he's doing a lot better, and it was necessary because he had to get like stents put in because he wasn't getting circulation to there, which is like, man, that sounds bad. So thoughts and prayers to Will. We'll be glad to have him back. And when he does come back, just a shout out to you guys if you didn't know, be a little bit different format. It won't be the format that you see. It'll be kind of like a Q&A to a sense. Maybe some people like that, maybe they don't, but that's what we're going to do. All right, let's see here. Mr. Lambos, ARC Block, ABT, and LCX have been solid and missed this downturn. That's very true. I don't hold ARC Block. I'm aware that's a good coin. There's going to be some ones I'm in and some I'm not. But I do hold a pretty decent amount of LCX. All right. Everybody saying what's up to Coochie Boy. Glad to see that. See, Richie Rich, Coochie Boy, Richie Rich, and everybody else. All right. Let's see what else we guys got in the questions and comments. GS, hi Max and team. Thank you very much, GS. Welcome back. It's going to go further down. Edward Vincent's in the house. Wow, you made a comment. He says, hello, holla. You always said holla, holla. Yeah. Sound like Ja Rule back in the day. Holla, holla. Anyway. Um, Punk or Punke, I don't know how to pronounce it. Doubled for Tim. He was going to hold it a little longer, decided to take the win. Bought more XX and XPX. You've been doing really well with that XX. I see it pop off every once in a while. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and maybe read like a couple more comments. Julian Cato, another banger video, Max. Don't miss. Oh, well, thank you. I don't know if you're referring to the live or you're referring to, some of the chopped up stuff and the recorded, but I do appreciate Julian. Welcome back, Julian. January 30th, big day for Stellar. I will agree with that. We got some stuff for you guys here in a bit. And Rick Cogswell, we love you for what you do for us. Thanks, Rick. I do appreciate that, man. Means a lot. Just to hear that sometimes just makes you think, you know what? Everybody wants to be appreciated at some point. I don't care who it is. Even a person that works at the IRS, secretly, they want to feel appreciated. Everybody hates them, right? I mean, it's true. But thank you. All right. Le Grand Commission. Le Grand Commission. Oui. 100K subs by the top of the bull run. That would be amazing. I know what Mike Cornwell is saying in the background. And he's like, yeah, then you could score. Yeah. Thank you for that, Mike. Anyway. All right. So let's see here. What else do we have? Mentalect is in the house. Hello, all. Is it Mentalect you're looking for? Lionel Richie. I swear that's going to be merch someday. You always talk about merch, Max, but you never bring it. That's true. Let's read this also from Din Yu. January 30th, the network's validators will cast their votes. That's true. Upon approval, the Stellar Network will immediately switch from Protocol 19 to 20. Yes, I'm glad that you're reading about that. Sean Francis is in the house. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, right? Pirates of the Caribbean. Cheeks, hey Max, always good to see you. Always good to see you too, Cheeks. Welcome back. And I think that's about it. So what we're going to do now is use Sean Francis's comment as a highlight. Let's get in the BSV segment. You guys have been waiting for it. This is going to be one of the main things we talk about tonight. It's going to be some good coverage, I promise you. Check this out for a second. Before we do so, I do need to remind you guys, because I've been meaning to do this. It's only once a week, so bear with me. It's not like I'm shilling this every day. But it does help the channel out and so on. So, I did have a new guy from earlier. I'm just going to share the screen real quick. So shout out to this guy. He is, where is he at? He is Seth Bose, if I'm pronouncing that right. Let me see where Seth is at, if that's his real name. Yes, this guy Seth asked, what is a good exchange to buy XTC and SXX on? I told him about it. I was saying basically MEXC, because we know what happened with the whole thing with KuCoin. He said, what is a good cold storage to go with, right, with these two tokens? Well, I would definitely say, what, guys? I would say it'd be Decent Wallet, because in the past, especially with Ledger, even though I went ahead and did all the tutorials, making that custom folder, let's face it, for most is a pain in the butt. It is a pain in the butt in Ledger. You don't have that problem when it comes to the Decent Wallet. So I give credit where credit's due on that. I wish Decent Wallet wasn't dropping support for BSV, but it is what it is. But anyway, I'll give them credit on that. So yes, I have focused more of putting everything into, like, for the most part, except for like when I'm staking, into the Decent Wallet. So if you're thinking of a new cold storage solution, you might want to check out the Decent Wallet. And what I'm talking about in regards to that is basically right here. Let me share that with you. It's in the description. Let me pull that up for just a brief bit. So you can go, for instance, like whether it's, on a recorded video or even right here, because you guys are at the live, so might as well do it here at the live. Okay. And basically it's right here. And it says need a good, reliable, and easy to use cold wallet for storage. Boom, here it is. Here's one for the single biometric wallet for a Maximus crypto discount. I'm sure they have it misspelled, but that's okay. Like a hold it against them. The links to, I'm not Maximus crypto. I don't know who that guy is, but anyway, you will get a discount if you happen to use, the link. There it is. And then the other one, if you want to get one for your like girlfriend, your wife, family member, kid, whatever, you do have one also, which is, give me a second. Let me jump back to that. It's this link right here, the 2x biometric wallet with Maximus crypto discount. And that one is this right here. Again, that's the one going to give you the most bang for your buck as far as the discount. So you guys don't have to worry about me shilling every day. It's just once a week, but that's where it's at. It does help. And let's face it, it's a legitimate question. Some of you guys ask me, hey, cold storage, what are you using? That's what I'm using. So there you go. Take a look into it. Cool stuff. All right, let's jump into the BSV segment finally. I said I would. We're going to do that. All right. So here it is. Let's put the branding on. Also want to give a shout out to Cool Cat Crypto. I saw you just, I think, entered. So you showed up at the right time, I think. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. So BSV. What do we have tonight in regards to that? Well, it's Terranode, right? No, I'm not talking about Luna Classic, Terra Luna Classic, or anything like that. BSV. This has nothing to do with that. So I'm going to clear out a couple tabs. And we're going to start off with something that wasn't even tagged at all for BSV. But I said to myself, no, this has more to do with BSV than it does with this tag for XLM. What is old Max talking about here? Check it out. Here it is. Features this lovely person. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan. What the heck does he have to say? Live from Davos, right? Well, this guy who is God away of crypto says, AKA Satoshi is the CIA. Don't agree with that, but teach his own. I'm not going to shoot the messenger. He says they will make a mockery out of El Salvador and erase all BTC because the bankers were behind it for, and I'm not going to mention that. You guys know what that is, but I don't want to get shut down on YouTube. And of course, BlackRock likes XLM, ask Ukraine. Yeah, that's a good point. The point is, though, what Jamie Dimon is going to say here. Maybe you saw this clip, maybe you didn't, but after you do see it, I think you'll lean more towards, yeah, I know why Max included this on BSV segment. Yeah, let's go ahead and play this. It's only 25 seconds. We'll jump back into the outline here a bit. Here we go.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins,
they go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? I've never met one person who told me they know for a fact they take that as
mathematically it can't happen because.
Wow. Isn't that what we've been talking about? Didn't Mike Cornwell, Elon Musk talk about that? That he did. We pointed this out last week that what is going to happen in regards to this Coppa trial. I know I always messed up the pronunciation. I'll get it down. Tomato. But what's going to happen in regards to this? Like, is Craig Wright just basically going to be like, you know what? You guys really want me to do this? Here we go. You know what I mean? Some of you guys have stated, well, technically he has. Remember the whole thing with the, $1 million worth of BTC and so on, sending over to BSV? Does anybody I think more people should talk about that. I don't think enough people do. We pointed that out last week. Then you hear Jamie Dimon mention this. Why would he mention that? It's so strange, especially when it comes to him, because he's the type of guy who told his employees, I don't want a single employee buying Bitcoin, right? And if you do, you need to sell it. So basically, this panic, and as the saying goes, somebody of high influence, when he speaks, Jamie Dimon, people listen. Yeah, people listen. People buy, the rumor, and they or sell the news. If anything, he sold the news. It created panic. Is this going to be another case of that panic? When we talk about people talking in code, that referenced in the past, Larry Fink and so on, when he talks about Bitcoin for cross-border payments and so on, how could it be BTC? There's just no way. 5 TPS. So to hear Jamie Dimon literally mention this and the sell-off, if you will, it does kind of make you wonder, do these guys really know what's really going on in the background? And for a lot of you guys who have been studying and researching this stuff for a while, you're saying, yeah, we know. Is El Salvador going to be screwed, blued, and tattooed, as my dad used to say? I don't know. But guess what? That is scary. If I lived in El Salvador and they were all or I should say they are all in on BTC, I'd be extremely worried about that, right? Like, shout out to Legrand. He's from Venezuela, right? He remembers the whole thing of, you know, seeing an entire nation's economy go down the drain, if you will. So literally, is El Salvador next? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But if we're talking about connecting the dots, like we always do, I think that's something to point out. Now, jumping more into this, check this out for a second. By the way, that tweet from that little clip, I did retweet that. Other content creators are sharing this as well, so I can't take credit of being the only guy doing this. And it's not about that. It's about community. It's about sharing what's going on with the community, the news, and so on. But it's Terra Node, okay? So this right here, this whole thing with Terra Node from CoinGeek, January 12th, this was brought up. New Terra Node features to push BSV's blockchain capabilities beyond its limits. Well, I did bring a few things from other people from the community. I did see that one that I think Cool Cat, you were like in the guy's comments, and you're sharing your own 2 cents, which is cool. And so I took a little bit from that to kind of blend in and outline. I have other research, right, where we have Dr. Craig Wright talking about some of this stuff. But check this out for a second. This, in my opinion, is a big deal, okay? Because we talk about MasterCard, we talk about Visa, and let's be honest. I mean, if we're really talking about true scalability and talking about the ones that are into blockchain and DLT and literally being a threat, or not necessarily a threat, but like the new go-to platform for even Visa and MasterCard, real Bitcoin, original Bitcoin, BSV, this whole thing with Terra Node, I think will take us to where we need to be, the promised land, as the saying goes, and then some. For one, like it says, the team today, at least, what was it, guys, back on the 15th, I'm sorry, 12th, sorry. They did announce, it was a big announcement, that they feel as though they're going to reveal a more service-orientated approach to the way the network works. New features include modularized, I'm trying to pronounce it right, modularized functions like transaction and block validation. Yes, I know what modular is. I even have a modular power supply. I just sometimes pronounce it wrong. And block assembly into the services that only run when required, basically. Additionally, individual transactions, each block will be segmented into subtree batches of transactions that can be shared across the network for nodes to inspect, even while the block is still being mined. Now, of course, your BTC maxis and so on say, well, that's Lightning Network and so on. Just use that. Okay, really? We're dealing with a third party here. Isn't the whole point of original Bitcoin to keep everything like within its own blockchain and so on? I think so. Terra Node, due to begin an initial 6-month sustained test, of course, this month. Major upgrade for Bitcoin node software, ground up rewrite of BSV blockchain's architecture designed to scale horizontally, and we'll get to that Craig Wright segment here in a bit. Provide new microservices for developers, applications, users, while still following all the fundamental rules Satoshi Nakamoto set out for Bitcoin 15 years ago. That's why I'm pointing out. So this claim of BSV being original Bitcoin, I think it is. Everything aligns. All the evidence shows, at least in my opinion, that it is. Again, a lot of people can agree to disagree. To each his own. But getting into this, I like some of the key highlights here because there's a lot that's mentioned here, and I don't want to, get into all of it because it's just going to be reading all verbatim. So my thing is, I'm going to take it down to this part, right? There's at least 14 microservices in Terra Node, if you weren't aware of it. Each can handle a different network and validation functions. The list includes node services like propagation, transaction validation, block assembly, and block validation. Overlay services, because I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 videos back, we talked about the significance of BSV and overlays. They include a legacy peer-to-peer network bridge, peer service, UTXO, lookup services, bandless, and transaction submission, which is called ARC. No, not ARC block. A message broker takes care of communications between the services, transaction status, stores, tracks the status, and other metadata of transactions within the system. What does it mean in layman's terms? Utility in motion, basically, not a nothing burger. Gives you a whole breakdown of how this all works if you want to look more into it. But it's there, right? It gives you a whole descriptive thing of how it all works. I remember Craig Wright talking about Merkle and how it, all comes together. So I'm not going to get into all this about the services about this, but what I will get down into is this down here. Yes, the block sizes. Look at this for a second, if you weren't aware of it. So BTC, this whole thing in regards to this compare and contrast, because at the end of the day, you guys want to know about this. Standard Bitcoin transaction model. What about Terminode? Adopts an extended format with extra metadata, improving processing efficiency. Okay. What about the whole thing about blocks? Michael Saylor always brags about, well, just hold on to BTC forever. It will, you have these things with the blocks, and that's what really stands out, yada, yada. Look at this. BTC transactions are grouped in 2 blocks. Direct transaction data is stored in the block. Okay. Each block is linked to the previous one by cryptographic hash, forming a secure chronological chain. With Terranode, though, it differs from traditional Bitcoin blocks by containing subtree identifiers instead of direct transaction data, streamlining validation processes. What's a nice way of being able to kind of put that for you, everybody can understand? Well, think about how it's literally explained. Okay, so it's like this. You're going through like an orchard. Just hear me out on this. I mean, I do the same thing when I used to teach. All right, going through an orchard. You want to, there's a specific, I don't know, apple on the tree that you're like, man, that is the biggest apple. I want to get that one, right? Well, it's at the top of the tree. Okay, well, I have to reach all the way to the top of the tree or get a ladder or something like that. Well, I guess I get the ladder or something like that. It's going to take a lot longer for me to get the ladder, get to the top of the tree, pull that down, gather it, maybe eat it, and so on. What if you had just simply a tree in which is flourishing with, for instance, all of these all these different clusters, right? A great big juicy apples, if you will. And they're all just about as big as the other one and so on. And they're readily available for you. Would be making a lot more sense just to reach right there and what's in front of you and pull that right off. Yeah, it would, compared to just getting a ladder and going to the top of the tree and pulling that down, yada yada. Is that why it's 5 TPS versus the other? Well, where the case be, could be. I know it's a crazy analogy, but that's honestly the way I look at it. What about the block size? Michael Saylor was always talking about block sizes and so on. And let's face it, even Satoshi, Craig, right? So originally capped, BTC is at 1 megabyte. Woo, wow, 1 megabyte. My God, what is it, like 1998 or early 2000s all over again? Originally capped at 1 megabyte, restricting transactions per block. Ridiculous. How about this with BSV with Terranode? Current BSV expands to 4 gigabytes blocks, increasing transaction capacity. Terranode removes size limit, enabling limitless transactions per block. This is where you get that whole statement like from Satoshi of, yeah, it's going to be like trillions. I mean, it's already impressive as is. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I love Quant. I love a lot of these other ones. XRP, I recognize it as opportunity. But I will state this. If we talk about scalability, block size, transactions per second, even if a person's like, get into BSV, fake Toshi. Okay. Again, the utility. Let's say Craig Wright never existed. Let's say Satoshi never existed. It was just a group of people. People are going to give me hell about this. So of course Satoshi exists. Otherwise this never would have got written. True. Sorry. But my thing is still, if we're all about pounding our chest to utility, right? And recognizing like, does this have something solid? This blows everything else out of the water. Nothing comes close to BSV as far as this real utility if we're talking about transactions and so on. Now, when it comes to quant, like, I mean, I'm a firm believer, like everything's connected to it. That's one thing, right? But as far as like actual micropayments and like it says here, transactions per block, I mean, somebody please tell me anything that comes close to this. I've heard other, debates like, for instance, well, DAG claim they have infinite scalability. Okay. But to this degree, I really don't think so. And that's no bash on DAG because I think DAG is solid. I'm just throwing that out as an example. All right, how about this for a second? TPS, process transactions per second, 3.3 to 7 transactions per second. Ooh, wow. In reality, it's like 5 on average for BTC. This whole thing with Teranode with BSV guarantees a minimum of 1 million transactions per second. That's the minimum? Really? Like, yeah, freaking Lil Jon all over again. Yeah. Okay. Like, wow. This is more than 100,000 times faster than BTC. So are they really talking in code? I think they're talking in code. Because you're going to tell me you're going to use the one that's 100,000 times, right, slower for a cross-border transaction, Mr. Larry Fink of BlackRock, or Mr. Jamie Dimon of, JP Morgan. Give me a break. They don't call it BTC. They just call it Bitcoin every single time. Bitcoin. Interesting. All right. So there's this, how a Teranode enables unbound scaling. Interesting. Let's play this for a second. I'm going to have to stop the screen for a second, share on the other screen. Give me a second. And yes, let's just get to this for a second. So I already have another one that's on the other screen. I think I might just go to that, but this is good stuff. Yeah, I already have this. It's the same one. So let's think it was a different one. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to not pull you out to the whole thing of that clip yet, because I remember I got a little bit more notes for you. Check this out. This is another thing that needs to be highlighted. Then we'll get you over to the whole thing of the video. So I thought this was worth pointing out. This is from bsvblockchain.org, if you're wondering where the highlight is. I'm going to go ahead and drop this into the comments just for those that want to nerd it out real quick. By the way, shout out to Selma Flood. Glad to have you in attendance tonight. So here it is. Let's share this. Okay, cool. It's on the screen. My bad. So I said to myself, I want to put myself in your guys' shoes, because at the end of the day, yeah, it's DYOR with Max, but in reality, it's, do your own research for all of us, right? Who is really going to use Teranode? Is it a nothing burger? Is it just this really awesome thing that we're going to boast about, but nobody's going to use it? I thought that was a legitimate question. Well, Teranode is meant for nodes catering to the transaction processing of large volumes from users. When enterprises, and when I saw this, I said, ooh, when enterprises or governments, start using the blockchain network for various use cases, they might choose to either contract with nodes or run their node. Why am I pointing this out? Because I think at the end of the day, when it comes to, for instance, enterprises and even the government, fake Toshi or real Toshi, this pounds it home that much more that, guess what? Does the utility speak for itself? Yes, it does. So again, this whole notion of not being into this particular project because of quote unquote fake Toshi or real Toshi, put that aside for a second. Come back to reality, and the reality is this. And I get the whole thing of, well, BTC has the trust. Okay, I get that. But what is the thing that's going to survive the test of time, guys? You know what the answer is. It's innovation. Because if it was only trust and not innovation, then why aren't we still using America Online? Or how come we're not still using Netscape and CompuServe and stuff like that? Because those things just didn't get with the time, right? So yes, the government enterprises might choose to either contract with nodes or run their node. These volume-hungry audiences are the customers of the Teranode initiative. Oh my God, that sounds incredibly bullish. Think about how many different blockchain projects are out there and DLTs and you name it that would just dream to even be mentioned in the same breath of a possibility. Now, when will this be ready? Everybody's going to ask that. And that's why I bring it to you guys. Since Teranode software is a microservice or service component-based architecture design, each component gets worked on its internal design to make it fit for purpose. Oh, so you mean they don't just throw something together and hope for the best? No, they do not. Well, who else is currently doing that supposedly? Well, you could say Cardano, but does Cardano scale like BSV? Hell no. Doesn't even come close, right? And of course, hold Cardano, so don't shoot me on that one. Some of these components are already built for scale. Some, of course, are part of what is shown to an audience in the demo, but some components are still being worked on. And again, this is a report from last year, but still valid because we do want to have an idea of what's going on with this. Currently, the transaction volume of the node support is quite comfortable to be supported by the SV node software itself. And when you get more into this, they talk in reference the whole thing about 25,000 TPS, and this was last year. So we went from 25,000 TPS to the example we just shared with you in regards to what? A minimum of 1 million TPS. You want to talk about progress. I don't know of anything else out there that has the progress that BSV is doing. But as a result, not enough people talk about this because what? Mainstream media will dominate the negative side of the things, such as the whole thing with Dr. Craig Wright, fake Toshi, right? Taking your eyes off of the prize with is you know, what's his name from 3T Warriors Academy would say, you know, you're paying attention to this and this whole other thing's going over this way. You know what I'm talking about. So currently, transaction volume of nodes is quite comfortable to be supported by the SV node software itself. I restate that. Let's now take you over to this. And that is basically speaking, this video, which was from 6 months ago, talks about Bitcoin at scale. It's all about micropayments. Here's why, from the horse's mouth, the head honcho, the 5-star general of the BSV army, if you will, Dr. Craig Wright. Okay. On this segment, he's going to talk about Bitcoin at scale. It's roughly about 6 minutes. Then after that, we'll take a pause and then we'll jump way farther ahead because I think most of us know about these other parts. And then we're going to take you to the part of, you know, who Craig Wright really wants to work with. Is it the enterprises? Is it the government? You have to wait and see. Stay tuned. Smash the like. Please make sure you're subscribed. It does help the channel out. Thanks for being here, everybody. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you'll learn something, whether you're for BSV or not. Listen to this. Here we go.
So to start off, Craig, can you explain how the Bitcoin system works at scale with massive amounts of data propagated and processed across the globe?
Yes, I can. But I suppose you want me to.
Yes, please.
Okay, so privacy in blockchain is really about scale. When we're talking about transacting, we're talking about being able to do micropayments, small casual payments, or as I said at other times, micropayments. Now, people like to pick on the fact that by cherry picking one of my arguments, I said Bitcoin isn't ready yet for the smallest of micropayments. But if you actually read what I said in that 2010 post, I said things under a cent. We were talking about transactions that were a single Satoshi, which was like a millionth of a cent at the time. And Bitcoin isn't today ready for a millionth of a cent. It will be, I hope, one day with payment channels, etc., but it's not yet. It's getting to where you can do transactions under a cent, a tenth of a cent. So we're better than we were. But at scale, you can start creating new types of business. You can start integrating society in a different way. And I'm not saying that lightly. Integrating society by having payments that you can make anywhere on earth instantly, giving the money directly to the other person. Now, social impact's a big thing that we all love to talk about. And as someone in a university, they rant on at me all the time. But social impact's really simple. I'm doing something that makes someone's life better. And yes, I'm a capitalist. I'm dressed in black, so I must be evil. But it's very simple. If I can make money by making your life better, that's a good thing. And you should be happy with that too. And I want you to think about scale properly. When we get into eventually billions of transactions a second, not millions as we're aiming for later this year, but billions, and then more, then you can start doing anything on this platform. And searching when you have a new key for every transaction, every file, every exchange, if you just want to dig through that, forget it. It's a computationally hard problem. I mean, it is a massively computationally hard problem. And so a scaled system will be something where people have no idea what the hell they're processing. Miners will be able to act when they're told about something because there's something wrong, but otherwise they won't. Otherwise, they will have no idea. So privacy will just be there because there's no incentive to do otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think people recognize the level of scale that we're talking about here. So can you compare and contrast that with things like centralized services that are running on the internet right now? Things like, you know, this level of scale that Google has, or Twitter, or Facebook, or something like that.
What we're talking about, my goal by the end of this decade, is around 10 million times Twitter.
If you have at least $50,000 saved for retirement right now in 2023, did you know that you can legally be...
So Twitter have had problems in the past. Mr. Dorsey sort of had a few things where there were, during Arab Spring, in a few areas where people jumped on and started tweeting a lot. Twitter's had outages and problems. I'm not talking about little tiny Twitter scale scaling. I'm talking about real scaling.
So what's unique about Bitcoin that it allows it to scale to these levels much more than something like Twitter or Facebook?
So the nature of the Merkle tree structure, binary tree, is such that we can basically shard the thing, not across nodes the way that Ethereum talk about for decentralization, but so that we can actually have corporations running all of this in an index UTXO store, so that we can actually put that out there at scale. And then we can horizontally scale practically everything in Bitcoin. Now, as we do that, it's a complex problem that's taken years to get through, and the team is still working on some areas, because getting to millions of transactions, as we're getting close to, is very different to billions. And we're going to have to re-engineer a whole lot of problems again after this year. And
yeah. So you've spoken about a master's thesis that you're working on, where you need to identify certain locations across the globe where there are very low latency in order to be able to propagate the level of bandwidth across the globe. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So yes, one of my qualifications I'm doing at the moment is actually geography. Apart from learning how to do maps, which was actually part of what I had to actually learn, I admit they're the ugliest maps in human history, but technically they still got me an A. But trying to figure out where to place different machines is important. So if you think about the latency of this type of network, structuring a global system requires that the sending of data around the world has to be incredibly fast. Now, there are a lot of companies in the dark fiber sphere do this. When you're talking about sending data for financial transactions, there are algo traders who do this very well, but they're also very secretive. They don't like talking. And
you guys just hear a few of the things that you mentioned. So for one, secretive, right? Back to the whole reference to, you know, I hate to say it, Jamie Dimon, secretive, talking in code. Larry Fink, secretive, talking in code. It just kind of makes you wonder. Then also, and I had to pull the video, and I apologize for this because, you know, I'm the type of person, especially when I used to teach, you got to have two sources, right? And basically that source that reported the whole thing about Elon Musk talking to for instance, BSV about the whole thing of a confirmed payment or using X for payments. That outlet, I apologize. I've never used that outlet again. So I pulled it. Yeah, I was getting a lot of views and I didn't get a lot of like subscribers or anything like that. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I owe it to you guys to be accurate with my information and so on. So that video, if you're wondering what happened to it, because I know some of you guys have stated, hey, what happened to that video? It's like it's gone. Did something happen to YouTube? Yeah, it's called I pulled it. But the cool thing is what he mentioned in regards to Twitter, now known as X. So see what you want, even though I had to pull it from that source in regards to like, hey, is Elon Musk really talking to BSV about this? Could very well be that, behind the scenes in regards to NDAs. But the other key thing is what you just literally heard him say, or Dr. Craig, right, in regards to scaling up even the likes of Twitter. When you hear him talk about some of these things, imagine it's not just Elon Musk, but it's some of the people that work with his direct core team that give him the memo, if you will, of hey, if you don't know about BSV, you really need to. It's the real Bitcoin. Here's the reasons why. Listen to what this guy has to say, and then taking it from there. So I didn't want to get into the whole thing about the legal foundations of this. We're going to jump into the next part about this here in a bit. We're going to take a pause because I realize it's quite the outline, lots of comments and so on. Some super chats came in. So I want to pause for a second, recognize some of that, because what's the point of donating a super chat if old Max doesn't even recognize it? So we're going to get into that. And let's scroll down to some of this today, or now, I should say. And I think it comes from, by the way, hello to April Cornwell. She says, hey, Max. Hey, y'all. Hey, 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 hey. All right. Hey, hey. Where are we at? Lots. Selma Flood is also in the house. Good to see Selma. I think I welcomed you earlier. Light is in the house. Always appreciate you, Light. Thank you for being here, man. All right. I'm still scrolling. Henry Brown is in the house. But there's a question before his. John Francis, what is that show? Gary Coleman. Oh, yeah. What you talk about, Willis? Are you kidding me? Different Strokes, man. I used to love that. I used to tell my mom, I used to say, Mom, turn on Arnold. Because I didn't know it was called Different Strokes because I was a little kid. I couldn't read at the time. She knew what I was talking about. So, yes, that was my favorite show when I was a kid. Anyway. All right. Henry Brown, $2 super sticker. Thank you so much, Henry. Thank you, man. Do Gary Coleman, Arnold, was it relax and take notes? What else he say? What you talking about, Willis? Yeah. I can't do it perfect, but what you talking about, Willis? Like Arnold in the what you talking about? That's from Biggie Smalls. Okay. All right, let's see here. There's another one. Thank you for being here. Boomer F and Sooner. He's Different Strokes. Yep. Great show. Thank you. What you talk about, Willis? Yep. Max should do that. I wish I could sound just like him, but I can't. All right, Henry Brown with another super sticker. Thank you so much, Henry. I think there's a few more from you guys. I do appreciate it. Willis was tapping old Kimberly. Maybe. Sad to what actually happened to Dana Plato. I guess she committed suicide. So I remember when that happened. I was a senior in high school. It's very sad. All right. Corey Bibe, a.k.a. JASMY, not a scam. Let's read it in a Corey Bibe voice. Thanks for all you do, Max. Well, thank you so much, Corey-san. Yes. All right. Thank you. I do appreciate it. You guys blessed me with your super chats. I will agree with Cool Cat Crypto on this. Look at Satoshi. Does he look worried though? Right, exactly. Like, I don't ever get any like if you imagine, I'm not trying to make things divisive here, but like, it's kind of like, I guess I won't make it political, but anyway, how about this? To all you guys that used to watch Beavis and Butthead, not the modern one, but the one from the 90s, Principal McVicker, you know what I mean? Like, does Satoshi Nakamoto literally look like Principal McVicker? Like, oh, Beavis and Butthead, BTC is at 5 TPS per second. You better scale up to that 1 million TPS. Get your asses to detention. I used to be able to do him. I can't do him as well. But anyway, you get my point. He always looks constipated, always freaking out. You don't see that from Satoshi. There's no, freaking BTC. No. Get your asses to detention. That's probably the most I said that word, right? Sorry for the language. But yeah, that's what he reminds me of. There is calm. He's collected. He don't do that. You don't do that at all. All right. All right, let's read this from Mark. BTC SegWit scam is doing 5 TPS. Yes, it is. All right, Henry Brown, $2 super chat. BTC is AOL 2, right? Old too slow. XRP XLM is more efficient. Good point. BSV can scale to the 10th and 11th power. I think Satoshi talked about that when we did the collaboration. That was cool. But yeah, thank you again, Henry Brown, $2 super chat. What else we have up in here? Dan Pena said BTC will go to 0. I believe it can, but no one really knows. Yeah, no one really does know. And it's kind of scary now because, I mean, I was one of those type of persons and I was like, how could it really go to 0? Lost C phrases. So, I mean, in that regards, I guess you could say that's still a thing. But, I mean, like, going to 0, kind of like Luna Classic, that type of thing. I mean, that's a different type of 0. It still has some value, but compared to where it was, like 99% down. Interesting. All right, let's see here. Willis was tapping Janet Jackson. That might have been a thing too. I remember watching her on the show. I always liked it when she was a guest. That was cool. So, and knowing that, let's face it, Janet Jackson was also she was on Good Times. She came in on the seasons after the dad passed away because he was in that car accident. Who was it? John Amos. Can't ever pronounce that right either. He wasn't getting the pay that he wanted, had to walk. That show was never the same since. I still love that show. Good times. What character was really funny on that? What's that one guy? I'm going to find it, not tonight, but some other point. There was a guy that was a guest who was hysterically funny, who could rhyme. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, someone, if you watched Good Times back in the day. All right. Everybody tapped Janet. Well, they all tapped Dana Plato also. Jeez. You guys all talking about, yeah, Penny on Good Times. Yeah. I'm going to look up that guy. That guy was funny. So hilarious. He was, okay, so maybe you're talking about, he would always wear like a fur or mink coat, and he would have like a bunch of like stolen watches or something like that, or he would always flirt with the ladies, and he's from Good Times. He's only on the show like maybe 6 or 7 times. Every single time the guy was on the show, it was hysterical. I forgot the guy's name. Forgot what his name is. Anyway, I'm sure somebody here would probably remember. All right, so we're going to jump back to what we have because we got a lot more. I didn't mean to cut you off, guys, and just, leave you hanging. So we're going to fast forward it now to, let me see here. Who Craig Wright wants to work with. This one is only about maybe 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5. I don't know. Let's go ahead and fast forward to that. All right. All right. Okay. All right. I got it. So let's share this. Let's jump back right into it. And of course, this will get chopped up later. So here we go. If I could just play the button. There we go. Here we go.
Have drive and energy and want to change and alter things. I want someone who will take ideas and run with them, even if it means going off on their own. So we had a guy now that I've been reading his proposal, and he, like Sean, was with nChain, and he didn't think he could do what he wanted to do in nChain, so he's run off and started his own business. And I met with him, and he's put forth a proposal and saying he wants licensing and things like this, and that. And even if you leave and you create something, taking the ideas so that they're no longer mine, and we have to try and bribe you with money to give equity, then that sort of person, someone with drive who wants to make something better.
Yeah. This is one that actually I wanted to add. I've worked with you over the past years, and you seem to prefer focusing more on the technical aspect and a future aspect, but more recently, I've seen how valuable it's been where you've been helping out with the more practical engineering aspects. Do you want to speak on your experience there and your thoughts?
It's something I should have focused on a lot more. I don't have many regrets per se, and I definitely wouldn't change many things, but one mistake I did make 8 years ago was when Stefan gave me the offer of choosing whatever I wanted. I should have been more hands-on and focused. I should have embraced the leadership role that I really is my responsibility for creating this, and not just going off and deciding I could play with technology and learn things and experiment and research. While I'm good at playing things and experimenting and researching, then I'm also needed in other areas because I can teach people how things should work much, much quicker than they will learn themselves. So I love playing with some of these things.
Yeah.
But it's not all about what I love. It's not all about what I want to do at all times. And we all have a cost to what we're doing in life. And mine is, well, not a bad one. I mean, I don't mind it, but it's a choice. And if I want this to be successful the way I envision, then I need to sit down and make sure that people understand and not have to flub through it themselves, because they don't.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear. This is another good one. What use cases do you think will emerge as completely new things we could do with the technology, as opposed to making existing things cheaper and more efficient?
New things are old. And when I'm saying that, what I was talking about before, the idea of digital scarcity, that's something that I don't think people understand yet. The ability to control how an image you take is sent. Not Snapchat, not that little destroyed image after that, anything. I want you to imagine that, to imagine owning everything and choosing, even down the track, the ability to revoke encryption, which is possible. So if you don't want someone to have a file because you don't trust them anymore, taking away the access. And that's not just bad images on Snapchat. It's also things like medical records. If you have medical records, they should be yours. It's your life, your body, your history. Not the Department of Health, not some hospital, not a research group. And yes, they get anonymized. And right now things are owned, but they should be yours. And you should have the rights to choose.
And definitely the other end of the coin there is the ability for data sharing, which I've heard you speak on a lot. And I think it's a completely different world where data can be shared seamlessly as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also the other side of medical. People can opt in to share information, but not have a university make the data private. That goes wrong all the time. I mean, being able to opt in provably, saying that you were part of a treatment or you did something, and give that over without any way of actually linking it back. The problem we have now is there's so much information to prove who you are and that you were part of like you actually took a drug or something like this, then you need to basically give enough that big data can de-anonymize you. Not sometimes, always. And I'm going to say it very simply. Anytime you give data right now, it can be de-anonymized. The problem we have is that you have no privacy. So being able to give that and have the concept of provably saying, yes, I was one of these members, so that there is no sort of false information no Theranos, no anything like this, real information, that's important. But it's more important that your information is protected at the same time. Only what is required. If you are in an age group, don't report your date of birth. Say that you're between 55 and 65. If that's what the data is being analyzed on, that's all that gets released.
I think we have time for one last question. This might be a fun one. We've seen many different opinions about speculation, specifically in the industry. What is your opinion on the value of speculation?
Well, the value of speculation is an interesting question, but what are you speculating on? I mean, I can speculate on the weather, and there are people who will pay me to, anyone can gamble and do that. But when I'm talking about speculation, I'm not talking this industry we have now.
You've spoken about like futures markets and
exactly. So in my last masterclass, I talked about the concept of bills of exchange and bills of lading, etc. They have value, but no one's going to pay you more than the value of the goods. It's not like this silly world we have now where my boring ape can go up in value because someone wants to money launder with it. It's really a world where people can look at, well, I don't want this delivery anymore. Maybe I could sell it before it even gets into the dock, which is a very different scenario. And people will bid for that. If you've got a tanker full of oil, then people are going to bid for that oil delivery. And the price will go up and down, not because of the NFT, but because of the value of the oil.
All right, I think that's it for the time we've got.
All right, there's a little bit more about it, but it's just, them applauding Dr. Craig, right? So I thought I would shut it off there. Obviously there's more about this, but it's so cool to see that, I mean, like, I don't know about most people, but who wants to listen to just old Max rant about stuff, right? You got to have some visualizations, and who better to share it than, Dr. Craig Wright. Now, jumping back to this, remember how we talked about Visa, MasterCard earlier? I thought this was good. This is from a site called Statista.com. It has some statistics I want to get into. It's not like, it's going to take like 20 minutes to get into this, but I'm going to drop this into the comments as well if you're the nerd that wants to look at this. So there it is. But basically speaking, let's go ahead and pull this up as well. This is somewhat recent. I think of November 17th, 2023. So yeah, not too far away. And I'll try to blow it up just a little bit more where you guys can see it. Okay. This highlight, Visa, MasterCard. What is mentioned here? Union Pay transaction volume worldwide 2014 through 2022, of course, published a few months ago. Nearly 4 out of 10 global card transactions in 2022 took place with a Visa branded card. Roughly 242 billion purchase transactions worldwide involved Visa payment cards that year. That would equal approximately 0.66 billion Visa transactions per day in 2022. And of course, the Visa official figures on credit cards alone claim that the company processed 87 billion transactions in 2022. I don't have the one for apparently 2023. What about the whole thing on country to country basis? Well, it goes on to mention that the United States was home to 1 out of 3 of all Visa credit cards issued worldwide in late 2022. And it goes on to also mention the number of U.S. websites offering Visa as a payment method was far higher than those from other countries in 2022. What about MasterCard? All right. Visa was not automatically the largest, I should say, card provider in every country. MasterCard and Visa have varying market shares across 14 European countries in 2021. MasterCard held market shares of 88% and 70%, Netherlands, Sweden, and so on. MasterCard has also bigger in Visa than Visa in Brazil, making up for nearly half of all card payments in the Latin American country. Visa and MasterCard combined take up the majority of transactions within most individual countries. They rarely face competition from domestic card schemes. Rarely face competition. So my thing is this. You better believe that these two recognize who? BSV. And we talked about in the past, especially when it comes to MasterCard, is there a real legit partnership and so on? So people say, well, kind of, but they don't come out and just flat out say it. To each his own. I think they are very well aware of the technology, whether they're for, again, the whole notion of Craig Wright is Satoshi or not. It's just simply recognizing, hey, we want to be innovative. We need to get with the times. This is where the future is going to. And if that's the case, and we're always talking about payments, whether it's Ripple's XRP for cross-border payments for the big financial institutions, central banks, you name it, Stellar when it comes to, that peer-to-peer and so on. You have to recognize the one that is the fastest of them all, and this blows the competition away. This doesn't mean I'm going to become a guy that just buys BSV only, but I definitely recognize the utility. So I thought I would bring that to you guys. And the other thing I want to jump into is actually some data that was shared from another channel, but a lot of people were citing this. This is good stuff. This is from coin.dance. I don't have to drop it in the comments for you guys. You can just go there yourself. But this is I think something else to definitely get into. And it's basically information on the eCash staking rewards mainnet launch, like it says. That's news, I should say. But it has all this stuff, all this information. And here's where you want to draw your your analysis, you draw your eyeballs to. Far right side of the screen, Bitcoin SV, like it says, currently at like $71. Block reward halving, as we know, 80 days. It's going to be on 4/13/2024, if you weren't aware about that. Look where this is all currently at, Why point out some of this stuff? Well, because Terranode is going to take this to a whole new level, okay? And you see some of the statistics on some of the other ones, right? Your traditional BTC, BCH, eCash, formerly known as Bitcoin ABC. Look at this, transactions, basically. You have, for instance, 25.38% of new Bitcoin transactions are taking place on Bitcoin SV network. Huh. What the block sizes? Because we were talking about that earlier, right? 91.98% of new data generated on Bitcoin blockchains are currently stored on the BSV network. I mean, if it's a big nothing burger, you could sure talk me out of it, right? I'm kidding. You couldn't talk me out of this. So there's a lot of stuff that's to be mentioned here. And of course, this is back to the whole thing of what was shared even on other channels, and some people talking about it on X. What I want to do now, before we wrap up this whole thing about the BSV coverage, because we do have, I think we're about roughly 80% into this right now. So what about this whole thing about Terranode? Okay, why is it such a big deal? And if anything, will Terranode collapse BTC mining by ramping up transactions on BSV? Right, that's why we show you some of this stuff. It's a legitimate question. What would be the significance of if this was to happen, and what could it do towards the fears of course, BTC crashing? That's why you guys see the topic of the show, the crash with Max. Well, I looked more into this. Basically speaking, the claim that BSV Terranode will collapse BTC mining by ramping up transactions on BSV is a very complex one. I don't have all the answers. This is what I gathered. You can agree to disagree with it, and if anything, it's okay. I welcome some of that. But there's arguments, of course, for and against the potential impact of all this stuff. I mean, some people point out that if BTC crashes and it represents, that and Ethereum represent 81% of the overall crypto market, why would you root for that? I'm not rooting for it, but I'm also looking at the reality of it. I'm also looking at the concept of supply and demand. I mean, at the end of the day, for a lot of this stuff that we're invested in, it's kind of like betting on the right horse. I hate to say that, but it's true. But we're going to look at both claims, okay? I think this is valid. So in the process of doing so, we're going to do some comparing and contrasting just for a brief bit. And I want to get into this part. So what about the arguments for this claim? Okay. Well, for one, Terranode's potential transaction volume. Back to the whole topic of where we started out from the CoinGeek article that we started off with. So Terranode, right? They aim to handle millions of transactions per second. Remember how we were talking about like at minimum, right? This, of course, is going to significantly exceed Bitcoin's current capacity, as in BTC. For all of us that are saying, BSV is real Bitcoin. Now, keep in mind, this could incentivize miners to switch to BSV for the increased profitability from transaction fees. Now, let's pause on that for a moment. Why is that so significant? Why point that out? Well, what's a perfect example? Perfect example of what we've seen last year is what happened with Ethereum Classic. Miners who, whether it's an ASIC miner for what was then, for instance, Ethereum, when it was proof of work before they went to proof of stake, they didn't invest in these, pieces of mining rigs for no reason, just to have it, their investment be wasted. So miners will jump ship quicker than a dev jumps from Ethereum to like Stellar, Sorbonne, and so on, right? It's a common thing and it will happen. Don't think it won't, because it will. Because of increased profitability from, of course, transaction fees. What about the larger block size? Well, we did talk about that. BSV's larger block size will allow block sizes significantly larger, of course, than BTC, and it's going to enable more transactions to be included, of course, in each block. This could further attract miners seeking, of course, higher efficiency. True. What about the hash power competition? Well, I'm not a miner, never claimed to be. I always thought about doing helium, but that's a whole different story. But the increased BSV mining could divert hash rate away, of course, from BTC, potentially reducing its security and lowering its price. But say what you want, if you have Dr. Craig Wright being validated as this guy's the real McCoy, he's Satoshi, that, of course, would rapidly cause what some people would consider a fire sale, or a night and day difference between one having demand and the other not. Does this give fuel to the debate of Dan Pena? I don't know if I want to go to that route, but maybe. All right. What about some of the arguments against this particular claim? Well, there's three key ones I want to get into. So number one, there's a network effect and minor, what they call inertia. Hear me out. BTC's established network effect and vast miner base might be difficult to, of course, displace. True, I mean, it's been around forever, even with all the FUD. Miners may very well prioritize the stability and security over potential short-term gains from BSV, or just because, hey, the world trusts this a lot more compared to the other. But again, back to the whole thing of, well, what about the outcome of the COPA trial? Hopefully I pronounced that right this time. People are like, stop saying COPA. Tomato, right? True. You got to keep in mind that, Terranode is still under development. True. Even though we have this whole thing of scaling up to a minimum of, 1 million TPS. But you got to keep in mind, scaling BTC at such higher rate presents various technical challenges, and this is where BSV will shine. We'll see. What about the uncertain impact on, of course, BTC's price, for positive or for the negative? A potential decrease, of course, in this hash rate could negatively impact BTC's price. The extent of what could happen is uncertain. Some people will say, nah, it's going to be more than fine. BTC is still going to go up to over 100,000. I think we might see that. We might see a significant increase in both. It's just maybe there's just a pullback temporarily, like, Investor Place was pointing out earlier. What about some of the other factors? Well, market sentiment over the economic conditions, like we talked about, those treasury yields is going to play a factor into some of the reports based off of that. It's got to play a significant role. I would agree with that. But this whole impact of BTC crash fears, if Satoshi Nakamoto comes out and just, exchanges all of his BTC and swaps it for BSV, would that really crash, for instance, BTC? And I think that could very well be the case. For instance, here's one way of looking at it. We talk about the institutions and what they're going to do, especially when it comes to ETFs and stuff like that. So BlackRock always stood out at the forefront because they had $10 trillion worth of assets. Some people point out that there's no way that, BlackRock is going to tokenize all of their 10 trillion in assets. True. But even if they just did 10% and put it into the overall crypto market, that would be significant. Well, if BSV, for instance, was able to, I should say, have a significant pump because Satoshi is Craig Wright, well, what would be the long-term and short-term effects? Well, again, back to the whole thing about the miners. It's unlikely to cause BTC mining to collapse in regards to this crash entirely because of the short term. You got to keep in mind there's increased competition, and it could impact, of course, BTC's mining. And of course, that can make things difficult even more so for these miners. And let's face it, the halving coming up is going to make it even that much more difficult for if it's worth it to them. But long term, in regards to Terranode itself proves, if it proves to be successful, and I think it will. I mean, innovation wins in the end. Excuse me. If Terranode proves successful and attracts a significant portion, of course, of miners, it could potentially impact BTC's dominance, of course, in the long run, whether you're for that or not. This scenario, like it says, basically, of course, what I gathered is that this is speculative, faces several hurdles. Everything faces hurdles. But this impact on BTC crash fears, like Dan Peña says, for the whole thing to just crash, go to zero. While short-term volatility is possible, keep in mind BSV's potential impact on BTC's fundamental value is uncertain, unclear. BTC's underlying tech and its established position in the crypto market, of course, remains strong, even with the prices at 39K. Therefore, some people feel as though BSV is unlikely to be the sole catalyst for a BTC crash. But again, I'm more leaning towards the outcome of what's going to happen with this trial, and also recognizing that Terranode is a real thing that is literally coming for the neck of BTC. All right, in conclusion, here's something to think about. Whether BSV Terranode will significantly impact BTC mining or, of course, alleviate BTC crash fears for you, me, and the next guy out there, you have to keep in mind the argument on both sides of the equation. That doesn't mean I'm for one side or the other. I mean, I'm sticking more towards BSV. That's just my opinion. But I think there's valid points that need to be considered, and that is the outcome of all this will depend on various different factors. And that does include Terranode's technical success, the miners' choices of where they're going to go, and of course, the thing that we don't want to talk about every day, and that is the overall market dynamics of how this all works. At the end of the day, evaluate all sides of the argument. That's what I'm trying to do. But if I had to pick one as far as what one is going to shine and win in the end when it comes to true innovation, scalability, and so on, yeah, it's BSV all the way. But at the same time, it's interesting to see how this is all going to pan out in the end. So with that said, thought I'd share this all with you guys. Pay more attention to the whole thing of Terranode. We'll talk about more in the future, here in the near future. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the last bit of this, I should say. I said it was going to be the last, so I apologize. So I'll fix this later. There's two things. I'm so sorry. So the two things we're going to get into is from Mike Cornwell. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. And here it is from Dr. Craig Wright himself. And it says, Bitcoin was designed so when the recipient is online, you can either enter their IP address and it will connect, and it will get a new public key and send the transaction with comments. Let's blow this up for a second. So on this one, pull up on the other screen, and there's a photo here. All right. So I'm going to pull this up. Yeah, here we are. Let's make it full screen for you guys. And what does it show here? Well, it shows this. It looks super old school, but think about the time. So you have this. Send coins. Enter the recipient's IP address. For example, 123.45.67 for online transfer with comments and confirmation or Bitcoin address. There's the address, for instance, if recipient is not online. Pay to 192.168.0.12, right? That's common router IP, right? Amount is what? $9.95 from Bob, and there's the order. Click send. Now, jumping into a little bit more about why we're sharing this with you. You have to keep in mind, it's this. Jump back to Craig Wright. I'll keep this on here for a second. This is good stuff. He says you could exchange invoices. Let me make sure I'm not muted. I'm not. You could exchange invoices, chat, discuss the transaction personally. Some of these other people chime in. Integrate these capabilities into something that is always online for its users, such as SMTP. Yeah. Take you to this other one that Mike Cornwell has. I think this is good. This guy says, genuine question for BTCers. Come COPA, what evidence will convince you Craig is Satoshi besides anything to do with Craig signing? This was posted when? Yesterday. Then there's a response. It's CSW MIT PGP key history. Now, I want to state this. I don't know for sure if this is legit, but I want to basically state that I feel as though it is. I mean, I can't confirm everything. But it kind of makes that sense that it is. So, again, I don't know for sure. But some of you guys are more than welcome to verify this on your own. And I'm going to blow this up as well. Let me come back out of the frame. Check this out. This is good. So you have this here. What is this? Well, blow it up a little bit more. Look at that. Nice and big. I'm literally viewing this on the other screen to verify that. So it says search result for this particular, I guess you could say, transaction hash. When's the publication of this? Well, 1/17/2008. Is this basically during the time of the Bitcoin white paper and so on? Yeah, I think that matches up. So you have type bits / key ID, the time, the expiration time, and key expiration. Publication, again, highlighted in yellow, January 17, 2008. UID, Craig S. Wright. Wow. I mean, again, somebody's welcome to look more into this if they want. In algorithms we trust, Craig at integris.com. Again, all this stuff. I mean, some of the maxis are going to be like, oh, this is falsified. This is, I already see that a mile away. But it's interesting. Look at this other one. 10/30/2008, Satoshi Nakamoto. So, some people say this is legit because it matches up. It matches that it's Craig Wright and that he's Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't know. But from what I gathered, it kind of leans that way. Okay. I mean, definitely worth pointing out, especially where it says was highlighted, I guess, right here, where it says 0xD2D59294CDD2C21C. You know what I mean? And how it matches up. I mean, it's kind of like basically us, right? We send, I mean, we're not oblivious to this. But, like you send somebody some crypto to a wallet. Is it the same wallet address? Yeah, everything matches up. I think that's the point people were trying to make. Teach his own. Give me a second. Let me take you to the next page about this. Now, this is the last one. Hold on a second. All right, so I think you guys see that on the screen. Yeah, let's pull that up as well. And on this one, all right, so this is now May 31st, 2018. So just what is it? That'd be 10 years. Interesting. Satoshi Nakamoto, same email address, so on and so forth. Go further down. Hold on. Got to get this other stuff off the screen. And there you go. You have a match. Public key server is a match. I mean, again, I don't know if this is doctored up. I have no idea, right? But I'm just saying. Public key server, get it matches on the end. Public key server, the get response matches up. So, I mean, I think it's all very, very interesting. Because, I mean, if this guy's so fake and somebody is going through a hell of a lot of trouble to basically do what? Come up with all this. That's what I gathered. But to each his own. Anyway, the point is this. We'll look more into this. We're following this obviously pretty closely. We give you a few updates throughout the week, right? I think we talk about BSV probably at least twice a week here, if not more. Kind of like crypto, whatever's in supply and demand, we're going to talk a lot about. But from now until this whole thing ends with the trial, I think we're going to talk about it a lot. And glad to bring it to you guys. So that does now conclude the whole thing in regards to BSV segment. I know that was quite a bit to get into. The last bit that we're going to get into is in regards to Stellar XLM. All right, let's jump back into the comments. I'm sure I'm way behind. And let's pull that up. All right. So I think I read some of this stuff. Mark, it's okay. Many of you will miss Bitcoin again. Everybody gets a second chance, but nobody gets a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth and a seventh, right? Yeah, this becomes ridiculous. How's it go? First time, shame on me. Second time, shame on you. Or in this case, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me, because that would be the case. Mark, I honestly can't believe I'm buying Bitcoin at $70. $70 a bargain. That's a good point. All right, let's see here. All right, so I did read some of those ones earlier about Thelma. Yeah, Thelma was not too shabby. All right, Ahmed, WTF is he talking about? When Moon? Where's Danelle Dixon? Not Danielle Dixon, Danelle Dixon, but that's okay. All right. John Amos was 7 years older than Jimmy Walker. He was like 20 years younger than Florida Evans. That is a good point. That is a good point. And he's also former Navy, from what I understood. Retired Navy, like yourself. Ex-Navy. All right. My boring ape. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Bernadette Stanis. Yes. All right, let's go further down. Ralph Carter is in his 60s now. Boomer, she's still hot. That's cool. All right, Calvin, no hate here. I use AOL on my compact computer. You know, my first computer that the family got was a compact Rosario 2600. And that thing was the biggest piece of crap of all time. 3 gigabyte, actually not even that, 1.5 gigabyte hard drive. Didn't even have a 3D video card. I know some of you guys are old school. You're like, sure, you think that's bad? Commodore 64. But Commodore 64 at least has some decent games for it, you know. Oregon Trail for the win. All right, AOL rolls the hell it does. It's horrible. Good to see you, though, Calvin. Welcome back. T6 Glider in the house. All right. I think we have another super chat. It's from Dinu at 849. That guy with stolen watches. No, not that. God, okay, this is how it stands. So shout out to all you guys that watched Good Times back in the day. You're going to think this is corny, but I don't know how else to explain it. It was something like, once you had the Pele, or not, how's it go? I can't remember how it went. But anyway, he would always, this guy, he's only like on 6 or 7 episodes, but when he came on, he was the most hilarious of the bunch. I guess he was a real life comedian. I guess he died. But anyway, he had a big old fur coat, and then like JJ would walk by him, and then like he would open up the fur coat, and he's got like actual TVs in his coat. Like for real, like how do you fit a TV in your freaking coat? And then he had like stolen watches and and then like he would go to like, the bar and you flirt with the women, and then he would try to like, I don't know how to explain it. He would try to sell them like stolen goods and stuff. I don't know. I forgot what the guy's name is. But there's like a parody of who he is. They chopped it all up. That guy, in my opinion, he was the most hilarious on the show. I forgot the guy's name. But for you guys that are hardcore Good Times fans, you know who I'm talking about. And he would always rhyme when he talked. You know what I mean? Like he's like almost rapping, but he's not rapping. I can't remember that guy's name, man. It's been such a long time. JJ77. Yeah. All right, let's see here. BTC go by soon, says Cool Cat. Let me see. I gotta check a message real quick because I might actually have to go early. Let me see. I gotta see what's up. Okay, I think we're okay. All right. So Jennifer Connelly. Oh yeah. She's still pretty hot even right now, man. But especially when she was younger. My God, I agree with that. BSV Stackers in the house. Welcome. Good to see you. Achman, my crush when he was a kid. Every girl in the village. Let's go. All right, that's cool. That's funny. Yes, Lenny. Yes. Once you had Lenny, or what's it go? You might have had many, but you never had Lenny, or something like that. Yeah, Somo, man, you got it, man. It was Lenny, Luton Lenny. Yes, man. I don't know if I'll probably get flagged on the copyright thing, but yes, it was Luton Lenny. How about this, guys? Look up a parody of Luton Lenny. Maybe we can show a picture of what he looks like real quick before we'll kick it into the next thing. I know. Stop talking about this stuff, not crypto. Luton Lenny. Oh my God, that guy was, to me, he was the funniest guy on the show. He was only on 6 or 7. Like the Christmas one. Oh my God, this was one of my favorite episodes. I love Good Times. You guys make me want to watch some Good Times now. Yeah. This is after the father was gone. John Amos's character. All right, check this out for a second. If you've never seen this, this is the guy who we're talking about. That's Luton Lenny. Yeah, he shows up to the whole Christmas thing, and he does a spiel to Penny, Janet Jackson's character, about all the stuff that he has. I mean, it's all stolen goods for Christmas. Man, they don't make shows like that no more. Say what you want. I think if you had to pick one decade that had the best shows, I mean, I wasn't alive in the 70s. I mean, these were like reruns for me, but and some of them carried over to the 80s, but I would have to say the 70s by far. I mean, like even shows are coming to an end. Gunsmoke, you had because Gunsmoke was from 55 to 75. You have obviously Good Times. You have Different Strokes that ran from the late 70s to early 80s. My all-time favorite show, Three's Company. I don't know, man. There's so many good shows from back in the day, and even into the 80s, like Benson. I like Benson. Anyway, but there he is, old Luton Lenny. I'm telling you, watch a parody of him. You'll be glad. He is hysterically funny, and they only had him on the show like 6 or 7 times. So, shout out to Selma Fudd, man, with the knowledge. Remember all Luton Lenny. That's good stuff. That made my day. Thank you, Selma. All right. Let's read this. Cool Cat Crypto. I'm trying to forget about Danelle. Why would you want to forget about her? But it's not going to be easy. Everywhere I look, something reminds me of her. Oh, really? So when you're like down at the produce and there's a couple like, cantaloupes, just instantly reminds you of Danelle, I don't know. I'm just kidding. Anyway. Boomer F is here. 70s and 80s had the best show. Yeah, I gotta agree, man. I totally gotta agree. See, we're thinking the same thing, Tim. That's right. Sanford, so that was also really good. I agree. All right. Why you want to forget? Yeah, why when Moon? Yeah, when Moon? When Danelle? Oh, the naked. Which one is the first one? The first Naked Gun? Maybe. I don't know. All right, what we're gonna do now is gonna pull up the branding for some Stellar. Please smash the like if you like some Stellar. See how we're doing on the likes real quick. We are at currently, I know you guys maybe don't like me mentioning the likes, but I have to, because if I don't remind people to hit the like, and it doesn't get it out further. That's just how it works. Kind of a weird thing. 54 likes. All right. Let's pull up the Stellar branding. I think we got a good one for that. Yep, we do. Okay. Stellar XLM. Do we have a legitimate update in regards to this? So of course we do. What do you think this is? The Holiday Inn? Blah. But yeah, we're gonna pull up some Stellar XLM with sideline reporter Elon Musk. I'm kidding. That's not what's going on. I just, anyway. All right. Check this out. Sorbonne. What is this? Well, it's not just Sorbonne tonight. There's a lot that's to be mentioned. But for some of you guys who are Sorbonne or Stellar enthusiasts, I thought I would mention this if you want to attend an event. So if you're like Mr. Tim Shea, who sprays from far away, or you're the stepbrother, Mr. Brian Dowie, maybe you attend some of these events. Maybe you're Ahmed, you're like, One Moon. When event? Look at this. So join them Wednesday. This is, of course, reposted from Sorbonne. So you can also see Sorbonne will just do a live stream from maybe X, or maybe they do it from Stellar Development Foundation. I think it'll be something like that. But anyway, on January 24th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay. This is a 2-hour event that's going to happen tomorrow, which is Wednesday. They are open to an all Stellar and Sorbonne enthusiasts. You don't have to have a special ticket. Bring your questions and feedback to support these innovative projects. This is cool. I think if anything, maybe we show up, it'd be kind of cool to kind of like World of Warcraft. You go in there and raid it, right? But you know what? I'd like to see which ones stand out, because this thing is coming, and it's coming soon. So check that out if you want to. Thought I would announce that. That was a new thing. What I want to do now is I'm actually going to share this with you. And it's regards to digital wallets for global impact. This is Jesse Serino on Vibrant Assist, Stellar 8 Assist. The reason why we're showing this first, because it's going to have a connection with the next part that we have. And if anything, the reason why I want to share this with you is because it's going to talk about how Vibrant, a unique digital wallet, evolved to support Stellar 8 Assist, transcending borders and making a real difference in the lives of those that are in need. At the end of the day, we have to have our connectors. You got to have the wallets, if you will, to store some of this stuff. But is it just another wallet? Well, listen to this. Smash a like for some Stellar. Here we go.
My name is Jesse Serino. I'm a senior product manager at Stellar Development Foundation. I focus entirely on Vibrant, which is our mobile app that we use to deliver aid using Stellar 8 Assist. A digital wallet is a way to safely and securely store and use funds on your phone. So oftentimes people think of digital wallets as Venmo or your bank account. But I think that what makes Vibrant actually a really unique digital wallet is it's one that you're able to use across borders. So if you're a refugee in a specific country and you want to bring those funds elsewhere and put them to use, you're able to do that. I think that what's also really special about a digital wallet is it doesn't require that you have access to traditional banking systems or things that might keep people out from being able to use different financial services. When UNHCR initially approached us, we were all pretty starstruck. It was, many of us had donated to UNHCR, but never actually worked with them. We trusted that they were operationally excellent, but actually getting to get into calls with them and see how much they care and think about all the different considerations that they had working on these types of problems for years gave us a lot of helpful insights of things that we could bring to our product. So we built Vibrant with the goal in mind of initially helping with inflation protection in Argentina. And that goal was really helpful for us when building Vibrant Assist, because it really highlighted to us the importance of targeting. When we came into Argentina, it was all about making sure that people understand what a digital dollar means for them in their local currency, the Argentine peso. But what we realized was that for this other use case for Ukrainian refugees, it was a totally different need. These were people that may or may not want to have another digital app on their phone. These are people that had age ranges from 18 to, I think we saw 75 plus at one point. And so what we realized was we really needed to pare down the feature set of our existing wallet and offer something in the app that people could use. User obsession for the Vibrant app is something that was paramount for us. A big component to our design was to make sure that we were removing as many barriers as possible to get people to their funds. We ended up at a product that was much more simple, where people could receive a text message, confirm their phone number, put in their date of birth, and then receive their cash. What was really cool to see was seeing the amount of time it takes from sign up to users actually receiving their funds in cash or in their bank accounts. We have a turnaround of 2 minutes going from downloading the app, receiving their initial text message, to getting that cash out. Something that we're really proud of is being able to get the funds directly into the user's hands. What I love about Vibrant and other digital wallets built on Stellar is they really think about how can we fill in the gaps in the traditional financial system. If somebody doesn't have access to a bank account, how can we provide them something that feels just like a bank account? And I think that this really gets at the core of why Stellar is so important.
All right, glad to share that. We're going to get to something that I came up with in regards to that video. So it's like this, okay? She was talking about Vibrant. It's not just any other particular wallet. What's the significance of Vibrant? Because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of wallets out there. Well, it did evolve to support Stellar 8 Assist, as we know, transcending borders and supposedly making a real difference in the lives of those that are in need, okay? I mean, I'll take it at face value. But at the end of the day, why is this significant to Stellar, and how long will it take towards, mass adoption? Or as Ahmed would say, when moon, right? Yes, I'm with you, Ahmed. When moon indeed, right? Well, Vibrant's integration with Stellar 8 Assist holds significant meaning, of course, for Stellar in many different ways. But what are just the key ones we're going to get into tonight? Excuse me. Well, about roughly 4 key things. So we talked about increased adoption. Vibrant is a user-friendly digital wallet. It can potentially onboard new users to Stellar who might not have been familiar, of course, with it before. But the key thing for you is it easy to use? Yes. And even for people with all sorts of different languages, or let's face it, or not, never got into these types of new payment rails before, if it's simply something that they can use, download, for instance, and get right into it and not have the hurdles of trying to figure everything out, like user-friendly, the answer is yes, user-friendly. It does expand Stellar's reach and, of course, increases the overall network usage. So that is the pathway towards mass adoption. They do have what they believe to be an integration that directly enables Stellar's tech to be used in real-world social good. So it does have a social impact. What is that particular social impact? Well, again, it's aiding those who are in need through transparent and efficient cross-border transactions. Isn't that what Stellar's basically about, especially for the peer-to-peer side? Yeah. This in itself with Vibrant showcases the practical applications of Stellar beyond just financial transactions, boosting its image and attracting users passionate about making a difference. So that sounds cool, but do we still get to the point of mass adoption. It's going to take time. As the saying goes, anything that's new takes time to have more of that adoption. But if you can start things off with making it user friendly and at the end of the day having a really cool goal of actually helping people, well, that stands out. Vibrant also has this whole thing of adopting Stellar Aid Assist and how it makes it like useful for people that are in need. It's a potential tool for facilitating, secure and reliable charitable donations. It's going to encourage other organizations, platforms, of course, to build more on Stellar Aid Assist and, of course, strengthening its impact. There's trust, there's transparency, like with anything. And basically speaking, this will allow donors to track their contributions directly to beneficiaries, reducing concerns about misuse, fostering trust, of course, in the system itself. This, of course, also aligns with what Stellar has been trying to do for quite a while now, and its core values of just that decentralization and the openness of doing so. Now, what about timeline in regards to mass adoption? Well, I can't give you like all that, right? I'm not a fortune teller, but what I can say is this. Here's some key considerations in regards to achieving what we're looking for. So 4 key things. Number 1, user education awareness. This does raise awareness of about, Stellar and Vibrant, of course, particularly among users that are unfamiliar with crypto. Let's face it, that's the majority of the world's population. So that's a win. And of course, that's crucial to bring education to those that just look at this as all being Greek. I mean, at the end of the day, if you still ask the average person if they heard about cryptocurrency, they're still going to say Bitcoin. That's a problem. This, basically informs people of the solution, right? You got to have speed, efficiency. It has to be user friendly, right? There is going to be more partnerships. This also helps out for the overall ecosystem. So basically, expanding collaborations with NGOs, we've heard about this before, charities and so on, other than just financial institutions, can significantly accelerate the onboarding. And of course, that creates trust. We talked about the whole thing with BSV earlier, comparing BSV with BTC. There's a trust issue. Well, that bridge towards trust building is a real thing. That is a key towards mass adoption. All right, this last part, technological advancements. By continuously improving this user experience that Vibrant boasts very well, such as scalability and security of both Vibrant and Stellar Aid Assist platforms, it's going to be very essential for attracting, retaining, and getting out to the larger base of things. You have to keep in mind there's significance when it comes to particular wallets because in this case, you got to be able to have some place to store it, which brings into the next part of our news, which is this. And I'm going to bring it to you guys on the screen. And it is this right here. This lady, Tori Samples, she is the senior product manager at the Stellar Development Foundation. She delves into the transformative journey of Stellar Disbursement Platform. Now, this is, I guess you could say, like it says, a groundbreaking tool for global bulk payments. This one, in my opinion, kind of takes the cake tonight. This is also only about under 6 minutes, but revolutionizing bulk payments worldwide. I think this sounds very interesting. It's no longer just, hey, there's this cool thing from Stellar Development Foundation. This is Stellar Development Foundation's Stellar Disbursement Platform called SDP. I don't think we talked about SDP. At roughly 26 seconds, they will explain it. They will share the potential of where they're going to go and how they're going to make SDP the open source platform. So this is a win-win. And of course, the future of all this. And I'll share why this is significant for you as a Stellar XLM holder. Smash a like. Here we go.
My name is Tori Samples, and I am a senior product manager at the Stellar Development Foundation. My role is to lead our humanitarian products and bulk payments. I started when we just had Stellar Aid Assist as a program and have been so excited to build that out into a full product, the Stellar Disbursement Platform, that can be used for any sort of bulk payments or payouts around the world. The Stellar Disbursement Platform is a bulk payments tool. It allows organizations to send money to multiple individuals at once in the asset of their choice on Stellar. The Stellar Disbursement Platform is the product behind Stellar Aid Assist. So the Stellar Disbursement Platform itself is use case agnostic, asset agnostic, geography agnostic. But Stellar Aid Assist is for aid agencies and organizations working in the humanitarian world that might need more than just an open source product. We're here to support them. We're here to help them implement that to make sure that it works for them and for their receivers and for their programs. If you look at aid payments, the flow of funds is the same as basically any other bulk payments in the world. So whether that's payroll, paying employees, contractors, freelancers, gig workers, or whether it's government programs, that could be stimulus checks or tax refunds or social welfare programs, all of those come down to an organization paying multiple individuals at once. That's what happens in the aid flows. That's what happens all around the world every day. But it's still incredibly challenging. Those payments tend to be slow and expensive and not traceable and transparent. The legacy financial system disproportionately affects those people and the organizations that are trying to help them and pay them. And so what we realized is that we have a global set of rails with the Stellar network that supports these types of payments for people who can't get a bank account, for people who need to take their money with them if they have to leave their country, and for people who are typically excluded from the formal financial system. So when we saw how the money was actually moving, we realized that we would be able to take what we built for Ukraine and expand that into literally any time an organization needs to send money to multiple individuals at once. In line with the Stellar network being an open platform that anyone can use, we also want our products to be open to the world. We believe strongly in open source as an ethos, that people should be able to use this software for free, that they should be able to customize it to meet their needs. And so when we started rebuilding what became the Stellar Disbursement Platform, we knew that that was the end goal. We know that there are challenges that are unique to particular environments. And so we wanted people to have the control to be able to customize that for their own context and to make it work for them. We also know that the organizations who are using these tools, this tends to be their first use of blockchain or crypto. And so we have to make it very accessible to them. It's their programs, their money, their data. And so SDF couldn't have any part in that. We have to make the technology available to them, but we can't be in any sort of controlling role. And so we make it available to them, we help them, we support them to set it up, and then it's completely theirs and under their control. The Stellar Disbursement Platform unlocks an easy, seamless way to be paid that brings potentially marginalized communities into the formal financial system. It gives them the freedom and the access to use best-in-class technology when they typically haven't had the ability to do that. And for organizations, it brings them into the modern age of payments. It allows them to capitalize on the benefits of blockchain without sacrificing any of the requirements that they have to transact in the formal legacy financial system. Stellar has proven itself to be a mature partner for governments, for regulators, for traditional financial companies. We've proven that we can stand in this space, and we've made a name for ourselves that can be trusted by organizations and enterprises that can't afford to work with a new startup or someone on the very edge of crypto. The product itself is complete pretty much at this point. So we're always refining and adding new features and tinkering with it, but it's out there. It's open source as of August of 2023. And so we're at this point now mostly supporting deployments of that. We're here to help, whether it's governments, aid agencies, or businesses that want to use the SDP. we welcome developer contributions to the open source SDP tool. So anyone can go online, look at the code. We have open issues that you can help with and get involved, and know that your work is impacting people literally all across the world who are in need, and organizations that are working to help them. So for developers, there's a very clear call to action. We want you engaged. Organizations that send any form of bulk payments, we would love your feedback on this tool. It's still fairly new, which means that there's a lot of room for it to be customized and still some room for improvement. So go check it out, get in touch with our partnerships team, and let us know how we can make this work for you.
Okay. All right. So one thing I want to point out is some of this stuff that was mentioned tonight. So for one, when I think about, for instance, Stellar Disbursement Platform, bulk payments and stuff like that, I'm thinking to myself, well, is this actually like a real threat to Swift? Now, I'm not talking about like ISO 222 and whatnot, but I'm talking about like a different use case that would actually compete with Swift. Is that a legitimate thing to point out? I think it is. I definitely think it is. So, how much of a threat, basically, is Stellar Disbursement Platform, the SDP, as a form of competition from the perspective when comparing it to like Swift? And is that like a real thing? Should we basically compare the two? Well, you got to keep in mind comparing Stellar Disbursement Platform, the SDP, to Swift as competitors. It is complex, right? It's kind of like some people saying that's like comparing, I don't know, Jimbo Bob's hot dog stand with Wiener Schnitzel or something like that. It's like one's huge and the other one's kind of small, right? I guess that's a fair enough statement. But they do both cater to different aspects, of course, of payment processing. And if anything, that's why I'm bringing it to you guys. So though the potential overlap exists, here's a basic breakdown of why we're pointing this out tonight. So what about the strengths of SDP, right? Stellar Disbursement Platform. From here on out, I'm just going to call it SDP. It is fast and cost effective. Stellar, of course, boasts fast cross-border transactions with low fees. They've been doing this for the longest time, right? But it can be beneficial for micropayments and just that, humanitarian aid. Hence why we showed the other one with Vibrant in regards to the wallet. What about transparency? Well, there is real-time tracking of funds through the disbursement process, which will enhance transparency and even control. Even though this doesn't have even a fair comparison to like something like BSV, as far as scalability, I will mention this. There is scalability because if you compare SDP compared to Swift, there's a hell of a lot of scalability, right? Like night and day difference in that regard. So if you're comparing SDP with Swift, SDP can in fact handle bulk payments to thousands of recipients efficiently. That's definitely worth pointing out. While accessibility, we talked about the whole thing with Vibrant. It's an on-demand wallet and does create SMS invites. It removes barriers for unbanked individuals. And from what I gathered, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Stellar had a commercial of like using old phones, right? Like your old flip phones. The reason why they have this SMS feature is for even people with in the middle of nowhere or very poor areas, the non-access type people, to be able to use old tech and still be able to like send money and stuff like that, which is cool because this creation of SMS invites and so on does remove barriers for unbanked, of course, individuals. That's the whole point of, well, I should say the whole point, but one of the real things that makes Stellar stand out. They have, of course, this whole thing of a global reach with SDP. Listen to this for a second. With access to over 300,000 cash to crypto on and off ramps, which will expand reach to previously inaccessible regions. We've already seen this with some examples with MoneyGram. Now, of course, there's some strengths in regards to Swift. So, I guess we should mention that. I'm not a big fan of Swift. I think it's slow, but you got to point out that Swift does have already in place, of course, those established networks. True, right? Since like the 1970s, they do have a network, whether you're foreign or not, of 11,000 financial institutions in over, of course, 200 countries, enduring a wide reach and, of course, acceptance. Very true. They do, of course, have security, regulation. It's kind of like back to the whole concept of old tech, but it's trusted tech. You know, kind of like BTC. It's old tech, but more people trust it, I guess you could say, the BSV. I mean, I'm a big fan of BSV now, obviously, but I do recognize that it's, again, getting over the whole thing of the trust issue, right? So does that exist with this? I think that's a fair comparison. We do know that, you know, Swift does use the old MT messaging standard of messaging, like, you know, it's old, but it's basically a thing that facilitates clear and supposedly efficient, for now, communication between financial institutions. Those messages are getting garbled up, hence why you're going to have ISO 222 to solve the whole thing. We're not going to get into all that because we talked probably your ear off for the last 2 years about ISO 222. What about this for a second? Is there interoperability with Swift? Yeah, even though it's slow, Swift can connect with various payment systems, platforms, enabling diverse transaction types. Very true. Now, hear me out on this. There is what they call a competitive overlap and threat for the mix. There's two key things to consider. Cross-border payments is always going to exist when it comes to the talk of this. So both of these do, in fact, offer fast and cheap cross-border payments. Swift caters, of course, to high-value transactions between established institutions. We know about this. Even countries, the central banks of those countries and so on, not just for cross-border payments, but overseas payments. Where, on the other hand, SDP targets micropayments and unbanked populations. So there is that supply and demand there that make SDP stand out. And if anything, this was one of the main things why I wanted to share this segment with you guys tonight. Because when we talk about supply and demand, that is a real good example of supply and demand that might very well fly under the radar when everybody is just talking about wind, moon, right? It is utility in motion. There is speed and transparency. SDP in itself might hold an edge compared to, of course, Swift. And speed, real-time transparency, attracting specific use cases. And I think that's where it's going to stand out personally, is specific use cases. I mean, if we're targeting the unbanked populations, well, those unbanked populations need specific use cases. That's what puts this technology, you know, over the top compared to your old traditional payment rails of Swift, right? Overall, SDP may not seem like it's a direct threat to Swift and their core business, but you got to keep in mind, SDP in itself is more likely to disrupt niche markets. Hear me out. Like remittances, humanitarian aid with its speed, cost, efficiency, and of course, just that, its accessibility. For traditional peer-to-peer or, you know, bank-to-bank cross-border payments, Swift, of course, remains the dominant force due to its established network security and, of course, interoperability. At the end of the day, ultimately, it comes down to this. The choice between SDP and Swift depends on specific needs and priorities of just that, the user. Each user might have a different want and need. We know that. But it is possible for both platforms, of course, to coexist and cater to different segments, of course, of the financial transaction landscape. Very, very true. At the end of the day, we'll see what one ends up coming out on top. But for me, I'm going to bet on the one, once again, as part of innovation. I don't see Swift doing that. Some people say, yeah, we do. We see that with Chainlink. That is true, and I won't dismiss that either. Do I hold Chainlink? Yeah, I hold Chainlink. Why? Because I also like to be well diversified. And let's face it, Chainlink is still the king of oracles. All right, so with that said, guys, that's going to conclude our show tonight. I'm going to read the last bit of comments. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to remind you, please smash a like, especially on your way out. I'm going to read whatever questions, comments you have, and after that, I got to wrap it up. I have to contact somebody here in a bit. All right, so let's see here. We got, let's Let's see here. Mark Malberg, welcome back. XLM runs it all, folks. Leads back to Stiller Protocol. Very true. It's also welcome back Andrew Gonzalez. I don't know if you're still here, but welcome. Glad to have you here tonight. And I'm so sorry if I've been pronouncing your name wrong this whole time. So please let me. Why didn't you say something before? I asked you that many times. So no, the H is not silent. Okay. Ahmed. Okay. I know other people, like, what's his name? I don't know him personally, but what's his name? Your Pop. He always says it in how to pronounce this, Ahmed. So did I say it right this time? I want to pronounce your name right. My real name, everybody pronounces it wrong, and I can't stand it. So, but nobody mispronounces Max. Let's face it. I mean, how can you mess that up? Anyway. All right. So I got it right now. Yeah, you like those ones too? That's cool. All right. I do agree. That wouldn't be too bad. All shapes, all sizes. All right. Order 66. Interesting. The sound is better on X than YouTube. Interesting. Might use a different type of codec. Tori spelling. Wow, 90210, huh? Triple C, do it. Total Recall remake. Tori is a cute name. That's a good point. Ahmed. I don't think Swift will allow anybody to be a threat to them until the innovators take over the world. But teach his own. All right. Since COVID, house prices. Gosh dang, I did say that out loud on the live. Now we're going to get the stupid thing. It's going to have a disclaimer. That's what happens. I'm serious. After the show's over, there'll be a disclaimer. I'm not even kidding you. Just because I said the word. It's so stupid. Anyway. Since, house prices at X2 times 3. At that rate, I'll buy a house in 2050. That's a good point. Yeah, I remember that too. The lady in Mars. Yeah. That was kind of weird. But that was pretty interesting. Yeah. All right. Very cool. All right, Ahmed. Now, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Vibrant enhanced booze. What's going on tonight? My God. You guys really Mike Cornwell, Elon Muff kind of gives me crap all the time about some of this stuff, but maybe he should give you guys some crap about some of this stuff. Anyway. Has something to do with never mind. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna sell them out. All right, Selma Fudd, giving everybody not dab, but saying what's up to everybody. GS and so on. Ahmed 941. How will these people have no access to the internet? Find about these stellar apps. They need to step their game up with advertising. Well, they have been advertising a lot, believe it or not. And one of the key things was the no access people to be able to use their old flip phones and so on. But that's a good point. All right, let's see here. Let's welcome, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Emmy Lorenzo. XLM will for sure be the new world reserve currency. The Lobster wallet has everything. Check SDEX and add trust lines. Turnio is on there. Well, welcome. Hope to see more of you. Glad that you're using the Lobster wallet. I learned some things that were new, which was, some of you guys are pointing out oh man, I got to pay all these ETH gas fees to get SHX. No, you don't. Use the Lobster wallet, get yourself some Stellar XLM, and then if anything, swap it for some SHX. Save yourself a ton of money. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Guys, let's welcome Lorenzo. You sent yours from your Decent wallet. You sent one, went through to the rest and been good ever since. Nice. Very cool. Have a good night, Mr. Dingy, aka Daniel. Good night, all. Stay healthy. All right. He's going to love the boob chat when he catches up. You guys are funny. Protocol 20. I'm glad you're following the whole thing with Sorbonne, man. I've been talking about Sorbonne till people's ears start bleeding. I don't know. Maybe they get tired of me mentioning Sorbonne, but I think it's a real big deal. And the prices of Stellar I mean, it didn't tank with the rest of the market, which is cool. Sitting around 11 cents. So, all right. You got a sub. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Guys, if you see any newcomer like Lorenzo, you know how it goes. We have a very welcoming community. Lorenzo, hope to see more of you. And welcome. All right. No, don't read the comments. Wrap it up. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no. All right. That XLM is no joke. Okay, you guys have a good night. We are going to say peace out. We'll see you back here tomorrow and also Thursday, hopefully, or some more, talk of the day. What do you guys think? The market's going to pump in the next 2 days? We don't know. Have a great night. See you tomorrow. Sayonara from the Rice Crop Consortium. Let's go. Bye-bye.